What is going on, everybody? Thank you guys for guys and gals, or whatever you consider yourselves. Thank you guys for joining. It's been a little bit of a while, and I hope you enjoyed the groovy music. Definitely excited to be back. Let me know how the audio is. I think I played around with this. Everything should be good. Busted out the podcasting mic, which was pretty cool. Uh, okay. No, the audio should be fine. Let me know if it's a little bit out of sync. It probably shouldn't be. Um, However, we should be okay. So we are definitely streaming to a bunch of platforms. So we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Odyssey. Haven't figured out how to live stream to Rumble yet, but possibly we'll be on there soon too. So we haven't had a live stream in a little while, and that's not because I don't like you guys, but rather because I did not have what I call, or I guess what Card Chart calls, real internet. Um, for the past 6 months or so, we switched from cable to the T-Mobile home and business internet, and like, while we got a really good download speeds and upload speeds, which made things easier, unfortunately the latency was like through the roof. Um, the latency was really through the roof that it I mean, we tried a couple of live streams and it just been completely horrendous. And then anytime there's like bad weather or something, or essentially you have like bad cell phone signal, it just completely drops out. So the cool part about it was because you had like higher priority in the cell service. So I mean, we consistently got a lot better speeds and everything, rather than just like our cell phones. But sometimes the latency was just a little bit nuts. So it didn't work out, and then actually contacted our cable company again, and now they improved the service. So I'm like, okay, fine, let's do this. And they just reconnected it yesterday, and yeah, so it looks like it's actually going to be good. So definitely excited about that. Sucks to be basically back on cable, but they actually cut us a really good deal. So not as good as the T-Mobile home internet, but almost just as good. But I guess that's one of the things that two things about living in the boonies. Number one, you have like bad cell phone service, and number two, there's like lack of good sushi. And crap, I just talked about sushi, and that's one of the Vegas things. So I am looking forward to SHOT Show 2024, where we can have all you can eat sushi. A couple of things basically for today. So we'll kind of talk about like some of the stuff that basically happened, some of the big things that happened on YouTube and impacted a bunch of creators while we were at SHOT Show. Then we'll kind of go through. So I'm gonna have a couple of guests on. And it looks like they're popping on from time to time. I will bring them on kind of to discuss basically what we found, kind of like what we consider to be impressions of SHOT Show, but also like kind of like what some of the best parts of SHOT Show were, product-wise, etc. And then I'll kind of give you a couple of updates on things we're working on. I actually got a product in already from SHOT Show that we discovered, which was really cool. And then the Savage Switchback 110. I had a couple of questions on that one people were bringing up. So honestly, let's just take care of that one right now. And then I'll bring in all the guests as they're coming in, because as soon as if I start bringing them on, like the whole agenda goes out the window. All right, so 6 arc Savage Switchback 6 arc. I did immediately before we were leaving for SHOT Show. I did a video on the Savage Switchback 110. I went out, I bought the rifle with my own money. We did a live streaming and first impressions with that gun. I think that was also the gun that I got my first warning from YouTube, because I completely brain farted and I ended up handling a firearm on a live stream, which is definitely a big no-no. So I was like shut down. I'm like, wait, did I put everyone to sleep? Because there's like no one actually here. So I did actually go take it out to the range. I sighted it in. I had a little bit of factory ammo, and then I decided, hey, you know what? To break the rifle in, I'm going to use some of my old hand loads that I had for a bunch of 6 arc gas guns. And what I discovered was that I didn't resize the cases all the way down, so they just wouldn't feed into the gun. So I haven't actually put a ton of rounds through it. That will be addressed. That'll be fixed probably this week. It's going to warm up, I think, a little bit more. So the Savage 110 will be shot. And already do have a number of plans for it. So, yep, that's the one. So right there, we have the Savage. We have the Sharps Heatseeker chassis for the 110 Switchback. We are going to be running it off of AICS pattern magazines. We have the accurate mags with the um, well, here, I'll just grab it. Okay. So I have this is from my six five Grendel for the Ruger. So it's a 10 round accurate mag AICS pattern magazine, and what we did was we replaced it with the forgot the name of the company, Primal Rights. They make this insert kit, so it's a spacer on the back and the actual magazine spring. So we'll be running that for both of the guns and the Savage 110. For stock on that, debating which one, but we picked this up from SHOT Show. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Oh, wow, look how awesome the camera picks that up. That's the new GL Core Impact by FAB, so it's shock absorbing. But I think we got this for the Ruger S-Bar in 308. But we're gonna have that. Then now that we have more rifles in 6 ARC, for our Ruger American, I do have a barrel, a carbon fiber barrel, and we're gonna go back through and do a bunch of stuff with 6 ARC. And this year I will also be shooting PRS at a couple of local matches. And since we're primarily limited to about 1,100 yards here for even the biggest PRS matches, 6 ARC will be more than fine. And we are going to uh, build a 6 ARC gun. And I think actually one of them is going to be the 6.5 Grendel Ruger American that we completely pretty much changed everything on it. We're going to swap the barrel out to 6 ARC, and that'll be fun. So it'll be a bunch of 6 ARC content on that. Um, there's another question on the Sharps Heatseeker chassis about the weight. So if you have your Ruger American regular polymer one, yes, you are going to add a little bit of weight. However, a complete rifle with everything on that, like let's say 16 to an 18-inch barrel, you're still going to be under 10 pounds unless you're adding a crap ton of weights, like external weights to it. So the only way somebody kind of brought up is like, hey, I wouldn't want to take a 16-inch barreled gun and make it over 12 pounds. The only way you're going to do that is if you add external weights, or you're running like a very heavy contour. So that was going to be to answer that one. All right, so let's actually talk about some of the SHOT Show stuff. Um, I'm gonna bring in Nick. So first and foremost, I will say, this year SHOT Show actually on the content, and then I'll bring the guys in. So we have okay, like I'm looking at the private comments. So this year I've been blessed to have a lot of awesome people come out and actually help. Um, I've been going to SHOT Show for the past 12 years in various capacities. One, just kind of to hang out because, hey, I got media credentials for a forum. Then you turned into, hey, I'm the sponsor coordinator for USPSA matches. So I'm going out to SHOT Show in order to basically get companies to send us stuff for the prize table for matches. Then professionally, as an investment advisor, started covering the publicly traded firearms companies. So I went there as an analyst in that regard. And then really over the last 4 years since we started the channel, we've been going to SHOT Show for basically gathering content and creating videos. And this year in particular, I mean, we nailed it out of the ballpark. I think we had like over 70 videos, to the point that I'm like, hey, I wish we had like enough content. Plan things out as much as we can, but we're able to gather about 60 or 70 videos to the point that now I'm actually going to be releasing, I think, 2 or 3 a day, just kind of to get everything out so we can kind of get back on our original content calendar. And I couldn't have done it without 4.5-ish people. So the first one I'm going to bring on is Card Shark. Say hello, Nick.
Hey everybody.
So actually, I'm gonna put my headphones on and then I'll actually listen to you. So Card Shark, Nick has been a friend of mine for like I guess 10 years, something
More than that.
ridiculous like that. And so in prior years, he's always been the right hand man, kind of helping with filming and preventing people from getting in front of the camera. But this year kind of kicked him a little bit in the butt and I forced him to gather content, and you've already seen a bunch of his videos. And you'll be seeing a bunch more videos with him. He is quote unquote my shotgun guru. So any shotgun questions, I mean, he knows them more than me. I know how to pull the trigger with him. I know the basics of how it works. But the difference between $1,000 shotgun and a $20,000 shotgun, don't even bother asking me. I really don't know, and that's why we really haven't covered them on the channel. And then we had two awesome videographers that were helping us out. So we did have one of them with each of us helping to gather the content. I actually shared a couple of pictures on our community page. And then we had Glenn, who's kind of like a World War II weird snob. And he will actually do a couple of videos on some Hi-Lux products that we discussed at SHOT Show. So that was on that guy. So I guess I will actually let's and I see Mr. Bullets of Bucks hanging in the casting room in the back, almost like in his casting couch. So we'll bring him on in a bit. But Nick, so let me ask you. So this is your fourth SHOT Show, if I'm not mistaken.
It's either fourth or fifth.
Um, Basically, what was your experience with it? I mean, like, kind of like has it changed? Impressions, 23 versus 22, and then beyond is like, what'd you think about being in front of the camera instead of being behind the camera for the first time?
So yeah, I mean, 23 versus 22 is a big difference because 22 was pretty sparse. It was nice because we got to walk around and it wasn't too crowded. Everybody's back out, and this year, and it was great. It was good to see more companies at SHOT Show. The place is huge now, so just trying to get around and find everybody was a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I think this is the fourth or fifth year, and this one just kind of blew it out of the water. Um, each year it keeps getting better and better, it seems.
Well, in what perspective?
Just the sheer amount of product that comes out, and then now because I'm behind the camera taking some videos, I'm getting in doing some interviews and actually really talking with some of the vendors versus just walking around and looking at
Yep.
stuff. And you actually gain a lot more knowledge that way too, because they're telling you about what's coming out, and the different features and everything, and you just get a lot more in-depth knowledge.
Okay. So far we've released videos with you with High Point and VersaCarry.
Yeah,
Now there were a couple other there were a bunch of other companies that you visited. So work us through. I think so. One of them you out of the new stuff you looked at the Smith and Wesson. What are they calling it? The 5.7. Um, and then you looked at that weird ass gun, the Tombstone, the lever action tactical Timmy zombie hunting cowboy gun
yeah. I
thing.
think some of those videos are more of like shorts than actual, in-depth interviews. But yeah, I did get to take a look at some of them. Smith and Wesson came out with the 5.7, their five version of the 5.7. Seems very nice, very comfortable in the hands. But it's just another 5.7 basically. They're just reacting to the way the industry is going. Uh, Not to say it's not a bad pistol, but again, we didn't get to shoot it versus some of the other ones that were out at the range day. Um, the Tombstone, the POF Tombstone, nice 9 millimeter lever action. Kind of the first of its kind, but there were some drawbacks to it. I mean, it's a nice gun. Is it $1,900 nice? Because POF
Wait,
makes,
I'm sorry. How much?
yeah, it's I think it's 1,900. It's up there, almost $2,000.
I,
Is it that nice? No, not to
I,
me.
w- I will wait for tourists to take a copy and do
Make a
that
Rossi,
themselves.
right?
Make a Rossi.
Yeah, and the thing is, it takes Glock gazines and everything, but actually, I'm sorry, no, it's not Glock gazines. It's their MP5 style mags for
Okay.
their pistols and their other guns, but the lever action on that, if you know lever actions at all, like Henry has really nice ones, and Ruger and Marlin now, their actions are very smooth. This one wasn't. Like you would cycle it, and then you would feel like you'd hit a wall. You have to kind of like beast through it. Now they say that it'll smooth out with time and use, but if you're paying that much for a gun, you kind of want it to be perfect, like right out of the box.
Okay. So here. It was one of the guns that they hyped up a lot. There've been a bunch of videos on, and I haven't actually got to watch them. Did they mention at any point of what's the point of that gun? Does it actually solve any issues?
No, it's just the
Or
tactical Timmy 9mm in lever action,
okay,
because it's not a standard lever action, because lever actions you have to have a rim cartridge, right? So they did one in 9mm because everybody shoots nine, and they have a 9mm platform, with all their MP5 style, guns and other guns. So they're like, okay, how can we monetize this even more? I guess, and get something that people kind of want. Like everybody's like, oh,
yeah,
we want 9mm lever action. Usually, it's not really possible. So they kind of solve the problem that really didn't exist.
okay. Well, I'm sure somebody is going to copy that. It's only really a matter of time, and if Ruger really gets bored, I'm sure they can do it. I'm sure Rossi, a couple others are also going to copy it. Now, speaking of copies, I know I'm not sure if you did a video on them yet. Um, One of the big things that we saw this year was there was a crap ton of cheap 2011 knockoffs. So it kind of started before then with the Prodigy. Then this year, I think there were a couple of companies. So there's EAA that released their $1,000 2011, which is a Gerson. Then there was
Yeah, it's
that
a
other
Gerson, and they called it the 2311, which is
yeah,
also the same thing that Oracle Arms called their 2311, which is the one that takes the SIG P320 mags.
correct. And actually, the reason why they can't call it a 2011 is because actually I didn't realize it until I went to the Voodoo booth. Voodoo Gunworks also now has a high capacity 1911 or 2011. Is that STI or Staccato has the pat has the I guess not the patent, but
They
um,
trademarked the name.
they trademarked 2011, so
Yeah.
nobody else can actually call it a 2011 at this point.
So
Um,
yeah, and some other companies are getting in that 11 thing. Like Beretta came out with the 9211. It's 92XI, but it's really the 9211 because it's a single action only Beretta 92.
okay,
But that one's really nice.
so the Prodigy, the Springfield Prodigy is a garbage gun at about $1,500. So I mean, we're gun gamers, so we're kind of aware of
Yeah.
it. So like, um, even when STI was like $2,000, I mean, kind of like the inside joke of it was so an STI is the only gun that you're gonna spend a couple $1,000s to purchase, and then you need to spend another 500 or 600 in order to get it to run right.
Yep.
And the Springfields are, I mean, they basically have issues, and I've already seen, like a week after they came out, I've already seen them back in the store sold as used. Now I think it was the Oracle Arms or somebody else that basically said that the gun was having issues. Um, did Out of the new 2011s that are
hmm
kind of like lower end, were any of them actually functioning fine?
So, I mean, Oracle Arms is kind of a slightly different beast because it's not a true 2011 style gun. It's a SIG P320 mag
Okay,
gun. Now theirs was a pre-production, and they said it's pre-production,
okay,
and it was you could tell it had some rough edges, and it wasn't a finished product.
okay,
But the hype around it was good, and I shot it. I had a couple of malfunctions, partially, I think, because I had gloves on and because it
okay.
was so cold at the range day. I had to do a couple tap and racks because it didn't feed. But that was the compact version. The full size version, I ran flawlessly.
Okay. Now, speaking of half finished products, I know one of the missions we sent you on was High Point, and it's almost kind of like become a joke of it, but like, it's
Where's
like
the U cannon?
it's worse the Yeet Cannon, but you know it's like so it's been 4 years now or something ridiculous like that, and at first it's like okay, well you wouldn't want to be caught dead with a High Point, but it's like almost kind of like Waterboy. It's like we've been so emotionally invested in it that you want to see it succeed. So where is that gun and what's the excuse?
So there, it's coming. It's almost ready. Mainly, and I've talked to Dave. We're at High Point, several times, even like last year before Shot Show. And he was at one of our 2A events here in Jersey, and he was talking,
Okay.
or I'm sorry, it was in Pennsylvania Heritage Guild, and he was talking about it there. And basically High Point, because the gun demand was so high, they focused on churning out the product that was selling because
Okay.
they couldn't keep it in stock, and the parts and everything, they're churning them out as fast as they could. With the Yeet Cannon, it's basically they're getting new parts and new tooling. They're not a big company, not like some of the other bigger manufacturers. These are High Point's a small company, so they're kind of limited as to what they can put out. Um, and so there's getting product in. Some of the stuff that was on the guns, the Yeet Cannons last year was like 3D printed basically, and you could tell
I did not even
like the
realize that.
trigger was actually 3D printed.
But they had him shooting though. If I'm not
No,
mistaken, it
not,
wasn't.
not
Okay.
not at the because they were only at the booth.
Okay.
They didn't have it actually out at the range day.
Okay. All right.
But the High Point the JX10 is
Yeah.
actually pretty nice for a 10 millimeter, and for the price, that's a great deal.
You mean pretty nice for a High Point?
Yeah, for a High Point, but it's threaded barrel, everything. You can run a 45 can on it. It's a great suppressor host.
Okay.
Um, Looking forward to seeing if we can get one of those to test out.
Okay. All right. So there's the High Point. Now you also went to Benelli and Frankie. I think they had
Yes.
like some new shotguns and stuff. Talk to me
Yeah,
about that.
I covered some of the shotguns and rifles. They have some, now I'm not that knowledgeable about precision rifles. That's where you come in. But yeah, they had a couple new rifles out there. I believe Frankie had a scout rifle too. That was really nice. I can't remember if it's Frankie or Benelli, but there was one scout rifle that they
Frankie.
had. Um, yeah, and that was in 223 and 308, and that was really nice. I kind of I kind of want it.
And then well, I'm not sure. Did you do the Benelli Lupo, which is like the very high end
Yes,
Benelli
they did come
rifle?
out with the Lupo. Yeah, and we actually did some stuff about like their special coatings and everything that they have on it that makes it so
Okay.
and nice and reliable too. So that it's nice. I out of my purview really, but it's a nice looking gun. Very very smooth
Okay.
too.
Now, who am I missing, or what other fun stuff did you look at there?
Just some random stuff. I think there was who was it? Oh, there was a muzzle loading AR upper.
Uh,
Now it's not a
that
standard caliber, not
that
like a 50 cal
that's the
muzzle loader.
That's the Uintop Precision.
Yes, Unita. That's who it was. And they're it's pretty nice. I look forward to seeing if I can get my hands on that. That's something I'm starting to get into a little bit is muzzle loading. Um, but yeah, that's an inline muzzle loader. Goes on a standard AR-15 platform, so you can use your own lower and everything, and it looks good.
Okay.
Supposedly it
So,
kicks like a mother too, but that's what the muzzle muzzle loaders.
you didn't shoot that one
I didn't get
at
to shoot that one because that was at the long range section, and by the time we were done for the day because of the weather. So
and the weather was indeed the weather. And actually, while we're chatting, Steven Bulls for Bucks dropped out. So we'll see if he comes back on. All right. Now we also went to just me and you. We went on a mandate to the SIG Premier Media event.
Got to bomb the photo bomb TFB James Reeves
Twice. Well,
twice.
the first time was on purpose. The second time was
The first time was accidental. The second time was on purpose. You saw me like actually turn with my this just jacket, and just so I can show off the Slav guns on the back.
that was fun. Now, what did you think of the event? So this is actually the first time that either one of us got a chance to go into that event.
That was a really nice event. The product demos that they had there were great. We got a lot more, like one-on-one time than shot media day at the range or industry day at the range, just because of the sheer numbers. Now, we were there for the I think it was the premiere media,
Premiere, yeah.
so we got the nice stuff, the nice treatment. And it was cool to see the big names out there, TFB and I saw Clint from Classic
Yep.
Firearms. Crispy was there. Some one of the YouTube personalities. They got and a few others like USPSA guys.
Yes. Gun wise, what do you remember that was? What did you like? So I think did we end up liking the same gun or no?
Yeah, the Sig P320 Legion AXP comp.
A AXG.
AXG comp, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that metal framed 320 Legion single action, really nice trigger. So Sig's new thing is like the comp on the slide itself, and it actually works really well. They have that on the 320. They
Mm-hmm.
have that on their I'm blanking. Like the rose or whatever, the one for
The the P365 TAC Ops.
yes, the P365 comp. They have a comp version now. The rose that is Lena Michelik's gun
Yeah,
line. That one has it's a 365 comp, and it shoots very very nice for such a small gun.
indeed. Okay, so we had that one. Then we had the civilian spears
Yes,
in six
it's
five
six
pre
five.
doors,
Yep,
which is pretty cool.
that
It's
was a great
expensive.
one.
What was it
Expensive,
30?
but
What did we say? 35 or 4,000 or somebody comment? I don't. But I think it was about 4,000.
it was
So
up
that
there.
base.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's definitely going to compete with your FN scars. Um,
I would rather have that than the Scar though.
yes. Well, because you have the quick barrel change systems, all of that fun stuff.
Yes,
Um, and then Sig Cross. So finally got a chance to shoot the Sig Cross PRS, the heavy barreled one. Shot like a regular Sig Cross. Um, and then well, we had the spear, the MCX spear,
the
which was
M6
the
Spear. That one was a 7.62, was it?
760 by 39
Yep,
and 300 blackout.
right. Oh, the 300 blackout was the one. Yeah, that one
And
was really quiet.
yeah, and the cool part change his name. Nice. Uh, the cool part was that all of the guns that who else was that joined? Sorry. Okay. Um, so on this app software that we're using to stream, it announces people's names, and Mr. Bullets for Bucks joined, and he's like the greatest gun channel ever. And then Moondog Industries joined as well. I'm like I couldn't even catch that. Um, so we had that. Like I said, the cool part about the Sig Media Day, and we'll start bringing the other guys in, was that everything was suppressed, which is really, really awesome.
Right.
You still had to wear hearing protection because I mean you're shooting out under the covers, but it was pretty cool. Well, because you couldn't suppress the handguns that were there, but the rifles and stuff were suppressed. So I would forward to playing those. Okay,
Well, because Sig is bringing out their own suppressors, so
and they are pretty nice. So Sig
they are
has
nice.
3D printed suppressors. and they will work. All right, so um, I guess what we'll do is we'll do round robin. I will bring the guys on, and we'll go one company at a time and discuss kind of like what the cool products were. And before we talk about the cool stuff, I'm going to take a moment to shit on two companies. One of them is inspired by a post in here. So, Cocoa Puffs, talk about Remington, and does Remington have any stainless steel barreled actions coming out? Um, was Remington even at SHOT Show?
I
I
didn't see
didn't.
it. No, they're not there. They don't exist anymore technically.
Well,
Now, I mean, some of
It's
their
Rem
former
Arms.
products, you
Well, no,
know.
no. So Rem Arms. So they were bought out,
Oh, that's right. Yes.
and you have Rem Arms. I think they might have possibly been there. So I didn't visit them at SHOT Show. However, right to the left of me, I have a late production Remington 700 in a Hogue stock with a heavy barrel. And in full fairness, so I bought it used from a friend of mine who could have sworn that it couldn't shoot for stuff. He even put it into an AI chassis and it still couldn't shoot. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. But so I basically bought it because I kind of made a mistake, and we're gonna convert it to 8.6 blackout in the near future anyway. But I did want to get one of the new Remington Arms ones. I was at a local store, which just happens to be the retail outlet of Car Firearms, and they had a brand new Remington. I would say the I've played with two of them there. There was a crap ton of wobble, and even when the bolt was locked up, it didn't seem like it was actually locked up. And I would have really loved to put a go no go gauge on that, um, because I think there might have been an issue with that one. So that's basically my answer on that one. I don't. I believe we're producing bare and complete actions, but I'm not sure if we're selling barreled actions. But there were plenty at SHOT Show, so you're going to have barreled actions from other competent gun manufacturers that are out there. And the other thing was CZ. So CZ came out with the new, I think it's like CDX or something like that, bolt action rifle. It's a CZ 600. I'm sorry, Colt came. Wow. Okay, Colt came out with, I think it's the Colt CDX bolt action rifle. It's a CZ 600. I'm like, on the pictures it looked similar, but then I went to look at it. It's a CZ 600. All right, so hopefully that answers that. I am gonna go back through and answer the comments. I will put priority to anybody who is sending a super chat, and I'm also checking Twitter and Odyssey for questions as well. YouTube and Facebook are gonna bring on here. So first, we're gonna bring on Mr. Bullets for Bucks. Hi, Steven.
Hello.
Hey, Steve.
And
How's it going?
and another friend of ours, Thomas.
Hey, how's it going?
He's from California, so it's okay to talk down to him.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
behind enemy lines, so I'm part of the resistance.
You're part of the resistance. All right, so Tom, this was the second SHOT Show for you as well, and I
Mhm.
guess Steven for you as well. And both of you guys took it a lot more seriously this year.
What do you mean? I did take it seriously last year.
No, you didn't, and you know that's the damn truth.
Not
And-
not as seriously as this year, man. You
Okay,
came out with a crew this year.
All right, and Chad, I just saw that comment that I'm looking sexy, and you deleted it or you removed it. Buzz, thank you very much. So the reason why I look as beautiful as I do is that we're filming on a $2,500 camera. Sorry, my webcam is a $2,500 webcam with a $1,500 lens on it. So
Oh, is this the Lumix?
no, this is still my Sony A7 IV
Okay.
with the 35 G Master on it. So yes. All right. So, what are Steven, Tom? What are your impressions of SHOT Show this year? So you went last year, you went this year. Steven, I know you almost didn't make it this year. Congratulations on that. First and foremost, what are your thoughts? And then kind of start. Well, what are your thoughts on SHOT Show? And then we'll deep dig deeper into some of the cool products that you guys saw.
You going to me? Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I made it at the last minute. I felt like there was a lot more people, and it was a lot harder to talk to people at the booths due to the just a lot more people. Felt like a bigger show and very busy. So yeah, it was a little bit more chaotic, I think, coming off of the end of that flu last year. Made it a little bit more laid back the first year. Getting videos was a lot easier. But overall, a good show.
I will interject. So one of the things that I loved. Wait, hold on. Why? Wow, so that's a new function. I can actually remove somebody from the screen too. So one of the things that I absolutely love this year is that we did not have people screaming, "Sir, please put on your mask. Sir, please put on your mask. Sir, please put on your mask." And having to walk around with a bottle of water in the hand so I don't have to put on the mask.
Yeah, that was nice. I did hear a booth manager screaming bloody murder and cursing out his employees so loud
How
that
come?
all I heard was like "F you, F this, F you, you're lazy, you guys don't do anything." It was so bad that it was a huge booth, and I forget which one it was, but
Oh my
it
god.
was a huge booth, and he went inside the booth after people like started gathering, and I went to go film it, and one of the employees was standing on the outside of the booth like blocking. And I'm like, "Where is this guy?" He's like, "That's my boss. He's inside." And he like basically was blocking people. But the guy went inside, so you never saw him. But man, I mean, like it was epic, and it was pretty unprofessional. It was pretty bad. I
But
basically told
they did
I
give
told
us
that
nice media water bottles this year.
where'd you get yours? I didn't get one.
Yeah, they were hiding. They were hiding them behind the sort of service desk, as you can. So
They were
you
on
had to go
top
up
of
to
it.
ask them. They were on top of it for the first day, and then they kept them behind so people wouldn't just grab them. But if you came up and you saw them behind I guess because they're there's a little bit of a rise. If you talk
Just
to
ask
anybody
them,
behind
yeah.
there, you just ask them for it, and they'll give it to you. But they said
There's
that
signs everywhere. Yeah, they said, "Oh, get a reusable water bottle if you're
Okay.
media."
I was too busy getting videos, I guess.
You know me,
Okay.
I'm the swag hunter.
yeah.
You got more hats
Okay.
in the first hour than I got in the whole week.
All right. So here's the question. Now, this year that you were also in front of the camera, did that have any impact on your swag whoring abilities?
It did. It did. I couldn't free roam as much as I usually do, and schmooze the boots a little bit. So yeah, I had to kind of schedule to keep to. I had to run around a little bit more, which cramped my swag hunting a little bit, but I still got a good amount.
I think you got more. Well, hold on. Didn't you get more this year than last year, or you just became more selective this year?
I was more selective, getting more of like the really good stuff rather than grabbing stickers all over the place, and I wanted some of the more interesting stuff.
Okay. Coco, I see your question. I'm going to ask you before we go to Tom. I'm going to ask you which Christensen bolt action. Are you talking about the modern hunting rifle or the modern precision rifle? Because the modern precision rifle is not that new. I think the hunting rifle is new. Okay, so Tom,
Yeah.
the floor is yours.
Okay.
Talk to us about your experience. I know you had a little bit of a different calendar than some of us. You spent a lot more time with the smaller booths. I was to say you spent a lot more time with the poors in the basement.
There were some interesting things down there. In fact, I haven't gotten a chance to upload a lot of the videos, but like one of those was that the 3-ounce micro pistol, CCW concealed carry pistol. I thought that was kind of interesting. I brought two buddies of mine to be my crew, and that was helpful, especially in that since I like to do a lot of behind the camera work myself. it let them have the opportunity to go around to booths I wouldn't necessarily I'd skip over because I had so many appointments that they actually did a lot of scouting for interesting things that would have just I would have just glossed over because there's just so much stuff to see. And I will push back a little bit on the characterization that I didn't take the last year seriously. It's just that because it was my first shot, I didn't exactly know what to expect, and you really can't. Not to, not to go to any any event. You're better off when you have experience having been to there. And I've been to tons of trade shows, and I'm even designed booths myself for big clients. But this one, just sort of just the layout, and half the time you spend, especially even if you've been to SHOT Show before, is just sort of reorientating yourself as to which direction do I go to. So more than once, we went down to looking for a booth, ended up, oh no, it's in the opposite direction just because you're not quite remembering where everything is. So the first year, and also this year, I had way more appointments because I went last year. I got to meet people, get contacts. So already I had appointments. In fact, I probably made too many appointments. It was a couple of them I missed just because I just overstacked myself. So, but
Okay.
overall, it was a great experience.
I gotta interject here. What do you mean too many appointments? So Nick already knows exactly where I'm going with this.
Sure.
What do you mean too many appointments?
I didn't give myself. I thought I gave myself enough time between appointments to get
Okay.
to those appointments, and I planned it out so I would stay in the general zone or at least the general floor for like the first day I planned to be on doing the first level of the Venetian and most of those booths down there, and then Thursday was Caesar's. So the logistics of that I tried to map out, but just a couple of sometimes you'd end up spending more time at a booth than you intended, and then not realizing, oh crap, I've got to be at the other end of this floor in 2 minutes. So yeah.
Right. So what Steven definitely knows this. Nick definitely knows this. Tom, I'm not sure if he caught up with it. So for the last 3 years, usually SHOT Show planning for me starts about a month and a half, almost sometimes 2 months before the event even happens. Now, one of the things, so I'm a firm believer in getting appointments in there. So I mean, you have people who are perfectly fine just kind of like browsing the aisles, and it's just way too much. It's like the first time you go there, it's like your jaw drops. You're like, wow, this is like freaking huge. And it is, and it's almost kind of like a little bit overwhelming. So one of the things I started doing 3 years ago was calling ahead, and just, hey, my name is so-and-so. I would love to, I'm going to be at SHOT Show. I want to make sure I have some time on the books with you guys so that we can film a booth tour video on this product, this or that. And what you quickly learn is that if there is an appointment that you really want, you need to book that essentially a month out, because especially if you want to have an appointment with somebody higher up or somebody who's actually knowledgeable, or best of all is you schedule an appointment with the company. They're going to get for either a marketing manager, product people, or whoever you specifically want. They'll be there. But those people generally also often get busy and filled up, so that if you don't have that appointment, you just show up to the booth tour, and if it's one of the bigger companies, it might really be like, well, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not authorized to be on camera. You need to talk to this person and that person, and they're not essentially there. So I spent hours and hours, and it's the polite thing to do to turn off your microphone if you're yawning. Well, fortunately, I can mute people, and I have God powers, and I can ban people from here too. Because now, I'm gonna yawn for the rest of God knows how long. Yeah. So basically, last year I think pretty much all the appointments were completely planned out, but it kind of gets to it's a question of, okay, well, how much is the optimal time that you spend at each booth? And then the way we planned it out this year was I plan out the appointments based on how close the booths are right next to each other to minimize the walking time. And there was actually a situation that I ran into this year where Rugged suppressors, they had their booth in one location, and 3 weeks before
They
their
changed.
booth was moved, and I'm like, well, crap, now you just completely ruined my planning and my day, and it just becomes, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you want to create content, you definitely need really good help and planning it ahead of time, scheduling those appointments and all that stuff. Definitely helps. So, product wise, what was the most interesting things that you guys have seen?
Well, I posted a video of it. It was over at the Magpul booth. That sort of those foam Legos. I thought, I know that seems like such a banal kind of product, but it's like, oh my gosh, they should have thought of this years ago. Why did nobody come out with that? And I thought, okay, and that was one of the product I almost missed just because I happened to be on I think it was the FN booth across the
Okay.
way, and it's like, oh, there's a Magpul. Well, I should stop in early and just and then I was it was in the DAC section, which is their pouches and things, and I wasn't that interested in that, only sort of tertiary. But then I just looked over, and where I thought they were just displaying some cases, and I'm like, then they had some graphics about their new packing system. I'm like, oh, this is different. And then I ended up talking to the guy who was developing it. So yeah, and then I ended up getting a booth. Since I hadn't planned to talk to him before, I sort of had to cram that in on Thursday. But yeah, I think that was for me one of the highlights.
What is
Cool.
the name of this product?
This is their DAX system that they've developed. It's basically, like I mentioned, it's like foam Legos. So instead of using the foam for packing your
It's
rifle cases,
the DACA grid
yeah,
organizer.
DACA grid. Thank you.
So basically, they make it like you take out the foam out of your hard cases, and then you basically use their foam that's like cubed, and it stacks and does.
Yeah, and they literally look like giant Legos, kind of black giant Legos.
And it costs a lot more than the
I'm
other
sure,
stuff.
but yeah.
Interesting.
Indeed. Steven, what did you see?
Oh, quite a bit of stuff. Of course, now my brain is melted between SHOT Show and Western Hunt Expo. I think the MDT trigger, the zero stage electronic trigger.
Yeah, the gun control trigger.
The gun control trigger. There's so much drama over this. It's kind of insane. Also, the amount of ignorance is also equally insane, though. Yeah, I'm not really worried about it from that standpoint. I think obviously the trigger is designed for competition or like shooting range primarily, right? Not necessarily for being used in combat.
Yeah, they had those. They've had electronic triggers in precision, like Olympic 22. Though I'm not sure what the ruling is on when you can use those and when you can't.
Right, and paintball and airsoft, I think, or certainly paintball's had them for years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if it holds up to their torture testing and durability testing and waterproofing and this and that. Obviously, I would never put it on something I'd probably plan to use in combat or like in a defense situation, or maybe not even for hunting. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But feels fantastic when you actually go to use it, which is the thing that people probably don't perceive if they have never tried it. As far people are going nuts, like EMP is going to take it out. EMP, and in actuality, an EMP would almost certainly not take it out due to its design and its size. And there's not, it's the way it's designed right now. There's not really a way for any kind of government to control it. And it's hilarious because people are like, well, can you download full auto? And I'm like, it's made for a Remington 700 trigger hanger bolt actions. Like, there's no way to make a bolt action full auto.
It magically
semi-auto.
turns a bolt action into a full auto.
Just
People-
like you see it in the movies or something,
Wait,
or
wait,
a
wait,
TV
hold on.
show.
Hold on. A reloading press also is not full auto, but you can get an auto drive system for it, and it will be full auto. So you can when there's a will, there's a way. But I would say, kind of going back to it. I mean, I honestly disagree with this in terms of, so even if you're looking for marketing material, they have already hinted at the safer that you can lock the trigger down. And there are basically states where smart gun laws are on the books, and this would open up the door to that. Now, I will say there are a couple of big firearms manufacturers who have had patents on electronic triggers for modern sporting rifles, not just bolt guns. Um, but they basically are holding off on those because they do note there is at least 2 or 3 states where if that trigger becomes quote unquote viable, it would essentially shut the gun business down in those states. And that's why I'm kind of, I mean, well, MDT's Canadian, so I mean, let's put it this way: they're fuddy in the terms of they really don't care about ARs. They don't care about modern sporting rifles, full auto, or anything else like that. So that's why they're kind of pushing the safety edge, and it's different gun culture wise. So like on one hand, it's really really cool what the technology can do. On the other hand, it's like, okay, well, there's already Trigger Tech diamonds, which feel super super nice. So like, well, how much better is it really going to be? And just kind of like, okay, well, you're adding a lot more complexity to it. Well, here's a question: if the battery dies, does it still work?
No, I think like right now the current setup, from my understanding, is there's no way for like a phone app to control it. I think that's in the future, so that's why I'm kind of on the fence about what I'm saying as far as that. But like, I'm not really worried about government control as far as the trigger is concerned. I don't remember the name of the company, but they already had guns you could hold down the trigger, mark the target, and then automatically the gun would fire when the point of impact or aim would cross where you had marked the target. And then Remington also came out with like electronic ignition for cartridge before. I think it was like 10 years ago or more now. Anyway, everything's either flopped or it's been for military use only, basically. Yeah. My biggest concern is just a practical standpoint, is like, is water or cold going to affect this thing? Like, if I was to ever take it hunting, and it's got a type of battery in it, obviously. So like, is it going to lose its charge? Is it going to stop working? Is water going to get in it? Is the battery going to burn up? Like, there's definitely a lot of things, which is why I would, if I got one, I would take it to the range, put it on like a bench rest or F-class rifle, something like that in theory, and just use it for fun at the range to see how tight I could get my groups with that versus maybe a jewel trigger. The only trigger I felt that's felt as good or almost as good was probably a jewel. That's mechanical. Yeah. But it's a lot of drama. I don't really I don't have a huge opinion either way per se. It's funny to watch the drama. It's going to turn into a full auto, and and then an EMP is going to go off, and like all this stuff is just nuts that people are. It's hilarious.
All right, so I'll take the next round robin, and I will also use this as an opportunity to address a question. Drew, thank you very much for obviously being a channel member and supporting the channel. And if you haven't become a channel member yet, hit the join button down there by where Steven is sitting. All right, so I didn't release the video on it yet because it was on day 4 of SHOT Show, and I'm kind of going in alphabetical order, well, chronological order. So Burris did release, I'm not sure if you guys have played with it yet, the new Burris Veracity 4-25. So it's kind of like it's a scope with a heads-up display. So I kind of like to answer this question.
You're talking about the PH, not because they had the Veracity already, but now it's the Veracity PH.
Yeah, the Veracity with the heads-up display.
Yeah, yeah.
So basically what it is, it blends the lines between the burst eliminator, which has everything built in, and and a regular rifle scope. So, on one end you have regular rifle scope, you dial it in and you shoot, like you know how a
Mm-hmm.
scope works. On the other end you have the eliminator, which had a range finding reticle, and then it basically shows you exactly where to hold over. I'm sorry, it has a rangefinder built in. You press a button, it ranges the target, and it tells you where to hold, and you pull the trigger, and that's it. I didn't realize this, that in some states it's illegal to hunt with those type of scopes,
Oh,
because it makes it too easy. So, they came out with this new burst veracity, and I think this thing is freaking fantastic. So, what it does is, like, let me grab a scope. Hey, look, I have a burst scope in my hand. So this is the burst RT25. So on a regular scope, you have locking turrets. You're gonna dial in your dope that you would need to, or you would hold over in the reticle. With the veracity, what you do before you go out and shoot it, it's gonna come with the Burris app that you download on your phone. In the app, you're going to load your load data for the rifle that you're shooting. And one time, you transfer it directly into the scope, and it basically loads that lookup table. Then, when you go out to shoot, all you're basically doing is you're dialing in the elevation. You're not dialing in the holdover, you're dialing in the elevation. So you'd use a separate rangefinder, you would range the target, you dial in the elevation, and inside the scope on the top half, you have a heads-up display that basically is going to show you the elevation, the distance that you're dialing in, and it's going to show you a couple of different windage holes, which is really, really cool, and it lines up the reticle right where you need to pull the trigger.
so
it
it,
kind of
it puts up
takes,
the
yeah, it takes the range finding aspect out of the eliminator, and basically it's almost kind of like a simplified SIG BDX system. Um, so that's basically that, and then you don't need to have your app with you all the time. Once it's in there, you just dial in, and that's it. And you can set it in meters, you can set it in yards, or if you still want to dial it in as a regular scope, you can do that, and you can dial in your millirad or MOA adjustment in there. So it's really cool. But the most impressive part is the price. It was under $1,000, so it's
wow.
going to be like
Okay.
9 and change, and that's MSRP. So street price could be a little bit lower.
Yeah, it was actually on my list of things that I thought was in the top coolest things at SHOT. I think I have a burst eliminator, and it's that new scope is significantly lighter and more streamlined from a hunting standpoint. Montana, it's illegal to use an eliminator. Here, it's in Wyoming, it's legal. There's a lot of confusion though over sometimes these laws, but yeah, there's quite a few states it's not legal, and the eliminator is it's a monstrosity. It's a big scope, and very heavy. Slav just
Max just went black.
I'm here. I think my camera overheated. Give me a second. You talk.
So, but
Camera.
I think the only thing we didn't touch on with the veracity, and maybe you did, and I missed it, is I believe it also can show you can't or
Yeah.
your level
Yep,
as well.
That's the cool part about it.
Very impressive.
But we also, so the can't feature, actually people didn't realize this, but most of the SIG scopes had that already in there for like years. It had like the internal level and kind of shows you which way to go. All right. Actually, let me bring in Mr. Derek Northwest Guns so he can introduce himself and talk to us. So Derek, talk to us. One of the things we did share was your experience with SHOT Show 2023 versus 2022. And I guess talk to us, since you're catching up, what you have been impressed by this year. And go.
Okay, so what was I impressed by this year? Going to what a real SHOT Show is. Not saying 2022 wasn't nice, but the simple fact that it was small compared to 2023, and going to a SHOT Show where I actually had companies going, "Hey, Derek, come over here. We're gonna snag you." As I'm trying to walk to get somewheres, and it was really weird, but it was also cool and interesting because it's like, hey, I got a small channel, but they know who I am. It was fun. I ran into a few of you guys, especially up in the media room. We were all pretty much all busy this year for the most part. I know I was every single day.
For sure, especially on the range day.
Yeah, I actually, so being that this was my second SHOT Show, I was actually working at SHOT Show this year with one of my sponsors. So it was actually kind of interesting to be on the other side of the table and stuff. And it was also really cool because my gun started SHOT Show off this year. Leon Weatherby, who came in third in the international PRS competition over in France for Team USA, shot my rifle and started off range day. And the whole show for everybody.
That's awesome.
So, I've already got a couple products in from SHOT already. I got some more stuff coming in the next week or two. So it's going to be a busy and fun, interesting year.
Sweet.
And you had your own crew this year too.
I don't even want to get into that. Yeah, I had a small crew, but they all wanted to go off and do their own thing, and it was like, but you know what helped me out the last couple of days? Having my Apple Watch, my iPhone, and having a handheld mic. I did the whole thing myself there. So, but the couple guys I did bring, one of them was my friend Trent. Me and him competed together at the King of 1 Mile. I was his spotter when he was shooting, and he was my spotter when I was shooting. And then you guys all know Ryan from Boom Country Hydrographics. He came up with me again this year. He was kind of going out doing the little buying thing with his company he has, and brought one of my friends down from Montana to give me a hand. But yeah, it was interesting. The after,
You really can't blame them though, because it was their first year.
right? No, I know, and the after party, or all that type of stuff, man. That was, yeah. I'm still feeling it in my liver. Going down to what street was it? Was it Florence Street or Fremont?
Fremont Street, yeah. You're
Fremont
hanging out
Street. And going
That's
down.
where Steven was staying last year, and he
Right.
he loved it.
Yeah, I think I slept an hour a night if I was lucky.
Oh man, dude, it was more entertainment watching the meth heads than it was the street performers.
Sometimes they're the same thing.
Right?
Hey, Max, go ahead.
All right, I'm on camera number 2. We're now on the Sony FX30, and then
Till this one overheats.
well, no, the Sony FX30 is never going to overheat. It's
Okay.
a full cinema camera, and worst case, if something happens, we do have the Panasonic S5 II here.
I got a good old trusty webcam that works, and it's been working for years.
But can your webcam do 240 frames per second, huh?
my iPhone can.
It's fake. That's not really what it is. All right.
But I will say I got one cool thing in from SHOT, which I'll show you guys. Is that new gun vise, standing gun vise from Tipton. That was awesome. So,
How do we do?
Drew Bradley, is it a proprietary reticle in the Veracity PH, or can you get the horse? I think it's I think it's for that
Yeah.
scope. Am I wrong? No.
It's yes, because it has to have the holdovers, but it's very close to the reticle they have in the RT25 and the RT15.
Okay.
So it's a nice reticle.
If you-
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying they have a good image of the reticle and on the website, so I'd go
Yes.
there.
Absolutely. All right, this is okay. There's not a good layout for 5 people. Bastards. All right. All right. So let's continue our round robin. I will say the coolest swag is like we have from Rugged. Okay, so rugged. They have the new rugged Alaskan 360 suppressor. Um, titanium. Frickin' thing weighs 5.4 ounces, and it's rated for 338 Lapua. I thought that was cool for the price, and it's like stupid lightweight. And they had this really cool swag. So these are like it comes in the same cans. These are serialized shot glasses. Not that I do shots or anything, but I thought that was really cool.
What's the length? Is that the length of it? Is it really short? Or
Shot glasses?
no. The suppressor. This suppressor. How long was it?
It's
Like,
the
was it-
same. No, it's a standard size can. It was 8 inches, like 7 or 8
Okay.
inches.
I'm just curious.
But it was just titanium. So it's the Alaskan 360, but it's the Alaskan 360 Ti. So it's fantastic little can. Yeah, and like I said, it's really nice for hunting. I would say it's not going to be as quiet as a dedicated can for that. But if you just needed to be quiet, not the quietest, it's definitely very much worth looking into, and I will have a video on that. So actually, this was day 2 for me, so probably by the end of the week we'll have that video out. And I did actually do a YouTube short on that, so you guys can find that. Okay.
So going on coolest swag now.
Well, we know who had the coolest swag.
So I got a couple here. These,
Why,
this-
no. Put those down. Put those
they're
down.
not firearms.
They're not going
those-
to know the difference.
Well,
We're
hey,
not going to know the difference.
If that
Okay,
redneck
okay.
Yankee Marshall can get away with it, we can too.
Yeah, but unlike him, I don't have.
We don't
a
have
YouTube
his luck.
We don't have channel managers.
Yeah.
We don't have his luck.
But yeah, Beretta had it was a replica of their 9211, and it's actually a USB stick that has all their marketing info on it. And the other one was a Strike Industries keychain, which is actually pretty much like a miniature, firearm, like kind of like a goat guns type of thing, where you can actually rack the slide and drop the mag and everything too. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
That was cool.
Darn it.
But no, honestly, the coolest swag was that skateboard for Maxim Defense. That Eric, my videographer, came. Now, actually, so one of the things, I think one of the biggest changes this year's SHOT Show versus prior year SHOT Show, most of us had minions. So Tom had a couple of minions. Derek had a whole crew of minions.
We had a crew of 4.5.
Yes,
The only one that didn't was Steven.
and Alex.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and Alex.
But he's Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go through, since you guys are quiet. I'll name companies that I thought was good. Oh, so Christensen, the modern hunting rifle. I actually played with that one a year ago at the Palmetto State Armory, the Gathering event. They had the prototype of it there. It's cool. I do have a video with Christensen, but we focused on the modern precision rifle. Who has trains in the background?
Me, and hopefully my internet doesn't cut out, because sometimes it gets in the way of the dish and it literally cuts my internet.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You're really close to the tracks then.
See, if
Yeah.
I was close,
These are
if
really
I was
the
close to
booties.
the tracks, the only thing I'd be praying for: don't derail near my house. Don't derail near my house.
No, I'm not worried about that. There's only like 800 people out here. They would never target this area for a terrorist attack, probably. Mostly
Nice.
it's not toxic stuff that I've seen go by anyway. But
Besides people from California relocating to you.
yeah, those people are extremely toxic.
All right. So what? So Christensen modern hunting rifle. It's cool, interchangeable. It's modular. The biggest thing with Christensen is the consistency on the barrels. I mean, that's really well. Besides the Ranger 22, which is, yeah, Yeah. Christensen rifles, they either shoot really, really well or they don't. So
Well, you need to get one that was made on a Wednesday.
they'll take care of it if there is an issue. But
But who likes to send stuff back and wait for it?
Right.
exactly.
I declined their entire booth this trip after the one I bought. Irritated me.
But in full disclosure, you're also a big fan of Fierce, and Fierce is a fierce rival of Christensen.
I like the play on words there. Fierce rival of Christians. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's yeah.
Speaking of rivals, so we have the Apex rival scopes. Now, did anybody actually play with them before SHOT Show, or was this your first experience playing with them?
First experience.
I didn't make it out to their booth, so I have no
Okay.
comment.
Steven,
It was a first experience, I think.
Okay. What'd you think?
Pretty decent. I didn't have enough time. I couldn't really say definitively. I mean, like initial impressions are okay. Yeah, pretty good. But that's about as much as I would comment on it. I'm pretty sure I have a video coming out, but I probably filmed 100 videos between SHOT Show and Western Hunt Expo, so I'm losing it. But
That's the Canadian scope company.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes,
Mhm.
okay.
I
I think I saw Alex's video on that one.
Yeah, so I
Mhm.
shot one too. It's for a good company. It's basically he's a competitor and he wanted to get his own, and fortunately it's fairly easy to get a scope with your own name on it because you don't need to produce it in house. But they did put a lot of really cool features in there. So the reticle design, some of the turret design, and he did get input and help from people. So it's interesting. It's basically in that same ballpark as a Tractoric, Avalon Cronus. Who else is basically the exact same carbon copies of each other?
Right on.
Is Rhydon that same exact one?
Is that the Conquer?
The X7. Yeah, the X7 Conquer. It almost played out. The turrets almost looked the same, but the ones on the Apex were just a little more sharper.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically that guy.
We
I
did
think-
have a question early on. Ron 9mm asked what the coolest red dot was, I think.
Okay.
What's that?
Mr. Moondog. Well, I guess we saw one at
Coolest red dot.
at the media day.
Nothing stood out for me in terms of like a game changer red dot. But I didn't get to go to everybody's booth for red dots. I was
Well, are we talking
Yeah.
about pistol? Are we talking about pistol-mounted red dots, or are we talking about rifle-mounted red dots as well?
He did.
True.
He didn't specify. He just said red dots.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump in with the aim point. I think it was the Acro P2. H&K was showing that off at their booth at the
Oh
range
yeah,
day.
yeah,
Okay.
that was
Um,
Pistol.
And
Just
that's
said
actually
pistol.
combination. You can run it on a pistol or a rifle, which is the nice thing about it. And it's a nice compact optic. You can run it on a pistol. You can run it on a rifle. Aim point quality. I would say it's the best of both worlds. I think.
So,
Well,
you know,
if we're gonna say pistol red dot, I'm gonna jump on and say GPO. They released their first pistol red dot this year,
now,
and it was actually a nice red dot.
hold on, Derek. Before you go further,
Disclaimer. No, I'm just kidding.
let's hold on. Let me make you big, so you can give your disclaimer.
Full disclaimer, guys. Jesus. I've been working with GPO for like the last year, helping them design one of the new reticles in their scope and helping design their new spotting scopes that they have coming out. I didn't know anything about the pistol red dot, so that was kind of a surprise to me when I saw that. The build quality looked nice on it. I was a little shocked they actually went that route and was coming out with it, but it looks like it'd be good quality, and for the price, it's actually going to be pretty competitive up there with like a Burst Fast Fire 3 or a Hollow Sun. So we'll have to see how it does.
Okay. So, wait, hold on. Somebody else speak for a second. I want to see if it switches to you guys in the main window.
So
Okay,
just
so-
pistol red dots.
Nope, it doesn't.
No.
All right.
CH,
Okay,
CNH
go ahead,
Precision
Nick.
Weapons, they have their own red dots now. I actually took a look at them. They're pretty nice. Unfortunately, they're just in red right now, though green is coming. I think HoloSun has a couple new ones out too.
Hmm.
I was not very impressed with their, that it made big news with their thermal and night vision optics. Those have a serious drawback in that the range, like the effective range of them, is pretty poor compared to an actual really nice, thermal or night vision optic.
Okay, so how much is an actual or a real thermal optic,
About $3,000 to $6,000.
Yeah.
and and how much is the Holosun thermal optic?
I have no clue. I didn't get to HoloSun's booth this year.
Rest my case.
Honor,
You're gonna be paying more than double for an actual. Yeah.
honorable mention, just because they're located in Wyoming, where I used to live, is that Lucid Optics came out with a new E7 enclosed red dot for rifles,
Okay.
for AR platforms and stuff. I looked at one. It was actually at Western Hunt Expo. Didn't look bad, but who knows, really. But
All right, so pistol dot. Honestly, I had my first chance to take a look at the EOTech pistol mounted dot, and it was actually nice. Like, it was actually pretty freaking nice. I didn't do any videos or anything with it, but it was cool. And then so we did do a video with HoloSun. It was finally approved for monetization, so I got to do a thumbnail for it, and the video is going to be out tomorrow. They have a couple of new pistol-mounted dots that I'm actually kind of interested in. So they have the SCS, or it's the one that basically it was for the Glock MOS and the MNP systems, but now we're gonna have them for the HK and Walther. So you don't need to use the plate system, and you can mount it directly on there, which is pretty cool. And they did announce a fully enclosed one, which looked really, really nice as well. So that's basically on that one. Now, if you want to talk about a bigger red dot, I think one of the more impressive ones was what we saw at the SIG Media Day, which is where they had, I think it was the 709 or something like that, where it was a red dot with two diodes. So you can actually have one red dot that's basically already set for both subsonic and supersonic ammo, which is really, really cool. Or if you're doing a quick change barrel system, you can just basically have one set for, let's say, 7.62 by 39 and one set for 223 or whatever else you're doing with that in that regard. So that's on the pistol optics side. Yeah, I don't think there's anything completely game changing. I mean, there's a bunch of new ones, but really they're just rebadges of others. Oh wait, no, I lied. HoloSun has the 507 comp, and I was really impressed with it. So
What's so special about that?
Much bigger window.
Oh,
So it's in the video that I'm going to publish tomorrow. Really, really nice red dot.
Is it as big as like an SRP?
Which one is SRP? SRO?
SRO, yeah, sorry.
Basically, almost.
Okay.
Or like so the one I really like is the SIG Romeo Max 3 or 5 or something like that, but it was only cut for like one optics. All right, so moving to scopes, one of the ones that I ran into by almost by chance or by accident. So Hi-Lux, they have the PRS 5 to 25 scope, so this is new. I have serial number 1001, so I guess the very first one out of serial production. $800, well, $849 or $899, something along those lines, MSRP.
So it's in the same price range as the Titan.
Yeah, basically. Turrets, nice, beefy. You have 14 mils of elevation adjustment per rotation. Freaking love it.
If you can't hit something with the scope on the rifle, pull the scope off and beat it with it, okay?
It's the same size as the Titan.
Oh shit! It looks turrets look freaking bigger, dude.
Well, the turrets are bigger. The turrets are definitely bigger. These are like nice, big, beefy turrets. Well, you have 14 mils of
Yeah.
of adjustment per each one. 0 stop plus for locking. So, very, very nice. And that's for both windage as locking as well. Turrets feel really nice. What I like about it, though, so it does have, let me make myself bigger.
Nope.
I took myself off.
There
All
you go.
So, what I really like about this is that you have this nice, big, thick parallax adjustment. The only complaint is a little, the parallax is a little stiff. But it does have illumination, but check this out. It has buttons. You press them, and you can adjust it. So it's not like some of them you just have one button that you press to cycle through. You can actually adjust it higher or lower with just the 2 buttons that are right on here. And the the reticle is illuminated either red or green. You have 2 options. So not 2 options in one scope, but when you order it, you have a choice between green and red, which is cool. And like I said, it feels really, really nice. And everything on it is pretty stupid nice.
That's kind of
32 mils of internal elevation adjustment. It comes with the throw lever. It comes with caps, flip caps for both the front and the back, and a sunshade. So, really, really nice. Lifetime warranty. And this is their own design, and our mutual friend Iliad, Dark Lord of Optics, approves of it.
I wonder why they didn't do. I mean, is there a disadvantage to having 2 color emitters inside there? I mean, why wouldn't they make it your choice?
Probably size. I mean, they crammed so much in it already.
I would ask Iliad. I don't know.
I'm just remembering those cheap UTG scopes that have like every color in the rainbow.
Yeah, but if you actually use those and change colors, you would notice like a shift in the actual like point, the red or the dot when you switch between colors.
The big problem with a lot of those is the way I think there's different ways of you can illuminating the reticle, and the problem basically becomes that it just like with shitty scopes with shitty illumination, it starts glowing everywhere.
Oh yeah. So, but I'm just, well, it's an Iliad question as to how this one's illuminated.
And the really cool part about this one is that so I love holdovers. This has 20 mils of holdovers within the reticle. 20. So
it was a nice scope, yeah.
So for the price, it looks really, really good. The reticle is a little bit on the simpler side, but it is pretty dang nice. So
if it's GLO approved, it's got to be nice.
Yeah.
Was Bushnell even there? I somehow missed them if they were.
Yes.
Did you look at the Match Pro ED, the new one?
I have not, but so apparently a couple of people have looked at it, and it looks pretty decent. I have the original Bushnell Match Pro, not the Elite one. So the original one is not bad, but it's only like a 30mm tube, so it's limited with internal elevation. But the turrets on it were nice. The reticle on it is nice. So I have high expectations for the Elite.
Yeah, I looked at it at Western Hunt Expo, and it's only available in MRAD, which I'm weird, and I'm an MOA guy, so I was disappointed in that. But it was super impressive. I think it's going to be really competitive, in its price point. It was pretty impressive. I feel like.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting to see is how we're going to distribute it. So the first one, the Bushnell Match Pro, they initially came out and marketed as a 22 rimfire scope.
Really?
Then then we're like, oh, okay, well, this is good for center fire, but that scope was only available to purchase through their website. You couldn't find it for any other distribution, only for their website. And very weird. So like they had like separate different SKUs. It didn't come with anything, scoping app, and like it was $500. And honestly, at that price, it was like you're competing against the Arkin SH4s, the Vortex Venom. It just wouldn't hold a candle. So But this one actually seems to be priced right. It has all the specs. It has all the features. So it looks interesting.
It-
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's definitely. I really do. After feeling it and playing with it and looking through it a little bit. I mean, granted, that's pretty brief, right? And you can't
Yeah.
really tell looking indoors, but I feel like it's going to be potentially really competitive in its price point with other competitors out there. But yeah, are they going to have in stock or these things, right? They could drop the ball on their end as far as
Well, so the other
marketing.
one is Bushnell did have the higher end one. It was like the $2,000 price point scopes, but they have and like those have been really really nice, but you can never get them, and I mean, they're part of Vista Outdoors, so it's their own issues, and I can't go there because they blame me for crashing their stock price in the past before COVID.
They
They're
weren't even
o-
at the show last year, right?
No, they were afraid
No.
of COVID
Yeah.
last year, so they didn't show up. Actually, no, they did. They were at the show last year. Vista was.
Oh, right.
Vista was. It was everybody. They're one of the only big companies that actually was. All right. Beretta Cheetah 380. We completely skipped over this, but you looked at the two new Berettas, Nick.
I
Talk
did.
to us about them.
So yeah, the Breda Cheetah 380, they came out. It's got the same styling as the 92X that they have now. It's feels great in the hand. I don't shoot 380. I want one of those, and the color is beautiful. It's everything you want it to be right now. And then the 92XI, or as they say, the 9211, is their single action only one. I didn't like it as much personally, but that's because I don't like the 92X competition model or whatever, because that frame mounted safety just kind of gets in the way of everything. That's really just me. That's my personal preference. I'm fine with slide mounted safeties. And yeah, the Cheetah has it. My M9A3 has it. It's basically the baby M9A3 that I want it.
So, what's the difference between the new Cheetah and the old Cheetah?
It's got the new upgrades. Basically, the same Vertex style grip. The DLC coating, like it's got the colors, and some of the improvements that they threw into like the 92X and the M9A3. Basically like the D hammer spring and everything like that, so the trigger pull's even nicer.
Okay, so one of the things, so when I was researching the Ruger Security 380 video, and I was kind of like looking at, okay, well, what other 380s are out there?
Mhm.
And so there was the Cheetah, but they discontinued the Cheetah, I guess it seems like a few years ago,
Mhm.
and now they just came out with it again.
Steven, thanks, man. I'm gonna fall asleep here now.
Okay, and on this note, Steven is going to say his goodbyes. Although,
Just
I
because
am
I
gonna,
yawn.
we're all getting old here, and it's almost time for bed.
This
It's almost time for-
microphone must be like super.
It is very sensitive. You're pretty loud.
And
Really?
you yawn
Yeah.
very loud.
I'm like 3 feet from it. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you're really loud.
Yeah.
It's on auto. Like it's like on auto setting or whatever. I don't know.
So I mean, getting back on topic, you're saying that 380 and a lot of other centerfire cartridges that people wouldn't have considered or people had discounted for a while just because there's new loadings that really just pump up the the power and the reliability, the stopping power of some of these rounds. But some of them are really just in terms of the design of the bullets and other things that I think that's really where the appeal is now.
Part of that has to do with like the big surge and concealed carry stuff.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
of, the Bruin decision.
Well,
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, if I had a British Cheetah 380, and I would carry that.
Now, is that fretted or no?
It is not.
Okay.
However, you could probably get one for that pretty nicely because the Berettas are the design is very, very good
Yeah.
for suppressed guns.
So, I mean, one of the things, I mean, especially with the 380 market, I mean, when you kind of think about it, especially since we had the new Pocket 9s, the 380s were pretty much going to be limited to your tiniest guns, so like the bodyguards, the LCPs, and those guns weighed like 10 ounces, and they just completely sucked ass to shoot versus a 9mm, so like P365, the Springfield Hello Kitty, all of those are like this Ruger Max 9, those are like 20 ounces and up. So even though they look just slightly bigger, they're significantly heavier. So as a result of it, I mean, like, well, because recoil is, it's based on how much also the weight of the gun is. So just the fact that, yeah, 380 is a lighter recoiling cartridge, all else being equal, but for stuffing them into smaller guns. So like the Security 380 was like a joy to shoot. So the Cheetah, because I mean, it seems like it's a little bit on the heavier side because it's still all metal, right?
Yes, it's still all metal. I'm looking up the actual specs here. Weight unloaded 680 grams.
Okay.
Oh, that's 25 ounces, so it's a little bit heavier.
Okay.
So all things being equal, it'll feel a lot easier to handle, especially for
Yeah. It should
women.
be a joy to shoot.
Hmm.
Yep, and then that gun actually has the frame-mounted safety, but it's not intrusive. It feels really good. So that's one I would carry, condition 1 basically.
Yep. Very, very nice. Okay.
Is
Why would somebody think that I am located in Russia?
because you look like Putin.
Yakovakak Putin, na, 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 na.
You got to add the animation over there, if you can get some
So,
plug-in.
so was there anything new for the 30 Super Carry this year?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
that's essentially a dead cartridge.
Okay, because I just got an email. I just was checking my emails while he was talking. I guess they're going to be coming out with the Shield Plus and 30 Super Carry.
So they announced that gun a while back.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the Shield Plus. It was in
It was the Shield.
It was the Easy.
No, it was the Shield.
No, they did have the Shield. They said the Shield was going to come out in 30 Super Carry, and it's kind of only natural for them to come out with the Shield Plus in it because everything's there. It's basically a 9mm that's just a little bit slimmer.
Actually,
So why not throw it in? So
It's actually a 32 cal.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 32 cal cartridge, but I don't know. I like the Shield Plus. I mean, not the Shield Plus. I like the 30 Super Carry. But I was just hoping that was maybe somebody would see some other gun in with it other than the Easy and stuff like that.
As a self-proclaimed 45 Gap fanboy, and we're gonna make 45 Gap great again. 30 Super Carry is a solution in search of a problem. I did a video with it. I shot it honestly. So the only thing it really gives you is slightly. It gives you a couple more rounds versus 9mm, but it didn't shoot softer. I mean, I shot them back to back, both at Media Day last year, plus at the Palmetto State Armory, the Gathering event. And you know what? Since we have people watching and stuff, Palmetto State Armory, the Gathering event is public. It is going to be next month in South Carolina. Go on their website. It's going to be right on there. Definitely. Yeah, definitely worth considering. Go. I love nesting dolls, so absolutely, and you can start by sending a super chat.
what are those? What are those called? Babushka dolls? What?
They're nesting
But-
dolls. Russian
I
nesting
mean,
dolls.
what's it in Russian?
Matryoshka dolls or something like that.
You call Matryoshka.
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 Okay.
So
Yeah,
the news. So the new Stag Arms Pursuit rifle. Is that action the same or similar to the Solus from Aero Precision? Because they look very, very similar.
it is.
Am I
It's
am I
the same
retarded?
I
Huh?
can't say. I'm just like
No,
I
It
can't
is.
say right this second.
It is.
Is Aero Precision the parent company or Stag Arms the parent company?
See, that
The
wasn't that
the
wasn't
parent
the one.
company of both is the same.
Okay,
Right.
because I was like, there's an uncanny similarity here, and I was like, pretty sure they're the same.
Actually,
Or
there's
very
just
close.
there's a little bit different with the Stag compared to the Arrow. I'll know more. I'll let you guys know after Tuesday in the Discord group because I have a meeting with Stag Arms.
Okay, so I did stop by and talk to them. I did a quick video with the product engineer. He's the one who kind of basically disclosed it. But actually, along those lines, so did you guys shoot the Arrow Solus at Media Day or no?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
I shot the Prodigy and Rock Island's new pistol, and that's all I shot, other than the.
Oh yeah,
pristine
because
stuff.
you're because you're
so
you
you
just
shot
getting- yeah,
So you're just basically shooting disappointment all day long.
You know, I
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
pristine action. Let's put it this way. Okay, my pristine over here, the one that's on the gun vise, just took 7th in my division this last
I
weekend.
wasn't talking about pristine. I'm talking about the the Prodigy,
You know,
and
I
the
didn't, I
RIA
didn't have an issue
5.0.
with the. I didn't have an issue with the Prodigy. Not at all. I think for a double stack pistol of that kind, in that price point, it's
Garbage.
like anything else.
The gun
I
is
got
garbage.
I got a $5,000 precision rifle here that will outrun anything Savage has, but that's beside the point.
The Prodigy is a handgun.
Yes, I know that.
Okay.
But I'm trying to compare it to what I know here, okay? So, I'm not a pistol competition shooter.
Did you think that the Pursuit is worth the price they're asking? Going back to that.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus.
Thanks, Nick.
That
You know
was a
I had
good one.
to.
That was a good
What
one.
happened? Oh, I see.
Fist bump, man. Fist bump.
I had to. I always say that to you whenever you say 45
So,
gap.
if you haven't shot 45 gap, you don't know what you're missing. It is a fantastic cartridge, especially if you hand load. It's a fantastic cartridge.
It was a good cartridge, but the thing that sucks is it died off so quick. And I'll admit, the
Whoa,
40
whoa, whoa. It didn't die off so quick. It did not. It actually had a pretty good long life. Far better than the 30 Super Carry garbage, 224 Valkyrie, and any other garbage that they've been putting out recently, or what 360 Buckhammer is going to be, or what
If you
what's
start
the
saying
oth-
the
what's the other new garbage?
Well,
360 Legend,
360
what
Buckhammer is designed for states where they've restricted straight wall
Yeah.
cartridges
right,
for hunting.
and Winchester's coming out with a new straight wall cartridge
What's
called the 400 Legend next.
What's that other recent garbage that they put out?
7mm PRC. No.
It's the weakest out of the PRCs. I did like it. I actually did get to shoot it. No. It was a recent cartridge that they put out that is like... So we had 30 Super Carry, 224 Valkyrie. What else did we have that was a solution in search of a problem that was basically like no one gives a crap about anymore?
I don't know.
So there's 8.6 Blackout. But that we'll see. Right? Like, it's kind of like the interest in it is trailing off just a little bit. No, it's...
So did you
Aces
shoot the
Blackout is
Ruger
going to be
Amer-
more of a Wildcatter cartridge. Then I don't think you're going to see production ammo on that one anytime soon.
I'm sorry, say again?
I said the 8.6 Blackout is going to be a Wildcatter cartridge.
Can I say... Well, actually, I don't have a relationship with any of those... Hold on.
Oh, I just stumped the Slav.
No, I'm trying to
I
see...
see it on the shelves here.
No,
Really? Because I haven't seen 8.6 Blackout at all.
I'm trying to determine whether I'm going to get in trouble for saying something or not. That's what I'm thinking of. That's where you stumped me. Okay. All right, I can say it. So Hornady is going to be bringing it to Sammy spec either this year or in the very near future.
Okay.
Kevin from Q, he finally basically agreed to get rid of all the licensing, all the patents, all that BS. So that's one of the things that's one of the prerequisites for Sammy specking. But basically a lot of the factory stuff was made by Hornady already. So they are most likely gonna do it, most certainly. And there are more companies who are loading 8.6 blackout ammo. It just really kind of gonna be the support and honestly, the biggest issue with 8.6 blackout is finding barrel blanks, 338 caliber barrel blanks in a 1 3 inch twist.
Faxton's going to be producing barrels.
Well, Faxon has barrels. I have 6
Yeah.
Faxon 8.6 barrels sitting on my shelf right there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
2 rifle and 4 SBR, since it can't be pistol anymore. I guess technically it could be.
It can still be pistol. You just can't have a pistol brace.
I'm sorry, hold on. 2 rifle, and 4 free tax stamps is what I have sitting over there.
I just don't know how I feel about taking a picture of my gun and sending it to the government. Yeah.
Well, that's a different story, but we'll get there. No, so
Right.
8.6 blackout, it could be interesting. We'll kind of see. But so in any case, 45 gap was it had a fairly long life. And I mean, it was basically used by a number of state police. So Pennsylvania State Police, Georgia State Police, Florida State Police. They used 45 gap for quite a long time. I think it was out for like 8 or 10 years. So much more than 224 Valkyrie ever did. So there.
Still not better than an Ackley improved cartridge, but that's opinion.
We're talking about 45 gap. It's super cool to suppress, but I digress.
I could see
All right.
that.
Did you shoot the 7mm PRC in the Ruger American that was having issues?
It wasn't having issues when I had it. I don't know the type of issues, but that was the first time I shot 7mm PRC. It was also some of the new Hornady loads. Somebody else was reporting issues, so I don't know whether it's rifle issues or ammo issues. And some other industry people were saying it was ammo issues, a batch that came out of Hornady.
Yeah, it was really stiff. Like, really stiff. Really stiff.
Well,
I did a short on it, and I got a lot of comments. But I didn't do a No. I did a short shooting it, and it was obvious that it wasn't functioning well, even though I didn't call out Ruger. And I got a plethora of comments. It just when you go to lock the bolt lugs in and out, to lift it, it was so stiff that it was almost impossible by the time I shot it.
So part of it is the ammo. So especially with the Rugers, that round was like that batch of ammo, and Hornady does this all the time, was loaded hot as fuck. And because some of the powders that we're using are temperature sensitive, and well, what was the temperature that we were shooting in at?
About 30 degrees.
I have a high suspicion that's what it was, especially talking to some of the people there. So we stopped at Ruger like one of the first things in the morning, and I think I was the first person to shoot that gun. And it was the gun. I mean, the gun itself is brand new. So one of the things about Ruger is when they bring guns to a show, it's brand new off of the production line. Like they had zero rounds in them before. They don't do like there's some companies that basically take their pristine firearms there that have already been broken in, everything there. Every time I've gone to a show, it's brand new off of the production floor guns that were like right there.
That's kind of risky, no?
Yeah, but I kind of prefer that.
Yeah, I mean, it's more realistic in a way. It's more authentic.
So here's the thing. So the private Ruger media event, kind of like my very first foray into YouTube, when we were there, they had all the gun writers. We were at FTW Ranch. That's when they launched the 6.5 PRC RPR and 300 PRC RPR, along with the 6.5 PRC Ruger Hawkeye, and a couple of pistols. Every single gun that was there. So when we arrived there that day, they were just finishing putting the scopes on the guns, and they literally, it was a shipment of guns that came directly from Ruger from the factory, like brand new from scratch. Like we're still breaking them in, but we're shooting them out at 1,000, 2,000 yards. That's the one thing I kind of got to give it to them. That you can actually, I mean, that's honestly one of the things I love about media day in particular, especially when we have crappy weather, is you can truly see how well a firearm is functioning or not.
In
Full
like some of the
disclosure,
worst
SlavGuns.
conditions ever.
Yeah, the conditions sucked that day.
Especially for long range.
Well,
So
you're in the desert. It's cold. It's blowing. So there's dust and sand everywhere. This is like really true torture test, especially when you're having hundreds of people, thousands of people come in and shoot your guns.
But here's the thing: where else can you say that? Hey, I got to shoot at 1,000 yards in 30-mile-an-hour constant winds and 60-mile-an-hour gusts in 30-degree weather while it's sleeting or snowing.
Shit, let's go to North Dakota.
Wyoming.
Yeah.
All the time.
Right?
Wait, was that the actual sustained was 30?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Well,
So I had hit the shotgun section, and like the wind was actually taking clays. They're being thrown, and they're coming back over the shooting area.
I had one of my cameras, my bench camera, my little I had a phone on a tripod, got knocked over while I was filming because of the wind. That's how gusty it was. Yeah.
it looks like Mr. Karchark has a minion running behind him.
Here, I see a future assistant at the next SHOT Show.
Yeah, it's her bedtime. She's waiting for me.
I don't know about your Zoe, but my Zoe has been whoops, sorry, bedtime at 11 o'clock Eastern?
She's a late sleep. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a weekend. It's a long weekend for her. So
Oh,
she
yeah, I
gets
guess
to
it
go to
is
bed
a
late.
weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. That what is it? I think you could bring in a assistant as young as 13 or something like that. Because I saw some
16. I looked it up yesterday.
Okay, because I was
Into
asking
SHOT
about
Show,
that.
But not into SHOT Show possibly, but not range day.
No,
Range
not
Day.
range day. But I was I was kind of shocked. I saw a couple of wow, there's kids here.
Yeah, they changed it to 16 this year. The year before, the first year I went, it was 18.
I couldn't find any details as far as range day. When you look on the website, it says 16.
Okay.
Range day is technically not a shot.
Yeah, range day is not a shot event. Range day borrows the NSSF name, but it's actually run by Triple Curl Marketing, which is the same people. So Kathy Murray and a couple other people, they have the rights to that event. Well, and besides that event, so you also had Beretta had their event, Staccato had their event as well.
And SIG had their event.
Oh yeah, and SIG, yes.
Strike Industries had an interesting trigger. I think it came out a year or two ago, but they haven't sold it maybe yet, where you can set it. You push the side, like it has a center blade that's separate, right? But it has a really beefy outer blade. You push the outer blade and it takes it from a 4-pound and sets the center to a 1-pound. So it's like a set trigger for an AR or something like that. It was really weird.
So Jard has that, and I have that trigger.
I was gonna say, yeah, it sounds like the Jard trigger.
Do you like
Look
that?
it up. It's
But the Jar trigger is 7 ounces, not 1 pound.
Yeah, I don't honestly. I don't think it's very practical, but it was interesting. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
interesting.
For precision rifle shooters, I think it could be, but I didn't know that Strike has something like that. That is really cool.
Yeah, it was Strike Industries. I did a video short on it, and then they had it was the last minute of like the last day. I stumbled by their booth and was like, "Hey, what's this?" I don't even know if it's on their website. Strike Industries trigger. I'm trying to figure out what the name was. I have a YouTube short on it, and my YouTube short doesn't even have the silly name. It just has like a guy talking about it. So I guess he probably says the name, but it's definitely Strike Industries for sure.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't think it's on their website yet. Maybe they just did release it, but he's made it sound like it had been around last year, but maybe it was just in development last year and they hadn't actually released it.
All right, other stuff. So, Citron had the new S5. I'm not sure if you guys have gone. That
Yeah.
was actually a pretty cool scope. Voodoo Gunworks. So they make precision rimfires, and now they have their own custom centerfire action made for them by American Rifle Company, and they brought out a bunch of 1911 and 2011s, and these things were nice.
Yeah, I looked at them. That was about it, though. They were so busy, I couldn't get a video. I tried. I was pleased with the new Marlins that Ruger's putting out. They seemed to be a lot smoother and higher quality than the old Marlins.
Oh, yeah, there was a big line over there. It seemed like the longest line over at the Ruger booth was for the lever action.
Yeah, they said I forget what they call it. Max, you probably know, but they said they like tumble every part, and Marlin didn't used to. Something like that. But it was just everything was smoother because I have some older ones, not older, but like 10 years ago or so, and they all are garbagey compared to the one I was feeling there. And I asked him, and he said they're doing more polishing, basically, is what he said.
Yeah. So honestly, in full disclosure, I have not actually talked to them about their manufacturing process for the Marlins, but it'll be good to know. I know they're ramping them up and trying to produce as many as they can, and I also know that the dealers have been having a very horrible time trying to actually even get any inventory on them. So,
Well, they're hot.
Yeah. Speaking of hot, so one of the things that I loved, did you guys go to the Odin Works booth and take a look at their new bipod design?
No, I didn't. Oh, by the way, Max, your levels are a little low, audio-wise.
All right, let me change it to auto. That's because I'm not talking into this microphone.
I don't think I did look at theirs this year. I think I looked at some of their stuff last year.
So I will have the video. Actually, did I publish a short? No, I uploaded the short and we'll have the video. So basically, it's... Imagine if you combine the Accutech bipod with the... Well, I heard my echo somewhere else. Imagine if you combine the Accutech with the MDT SkyPod. Super cool bipod. That's going to be coming out, and it's going to be very reasonably priced. It's not going to be $1,000. I'm sorry. I draw the line at $1,000 bipods.
I saw some really cool bipods at Western Hunt Expo I'd never seen before, but they were more designed for hunter use.
Have you ever done anything with Swagger or Swagger?
No, and I should have. I never have. I can't remember the name of this one company I saw the last day at Western Hunt Expo, but they had bipods. They weren't cheap. They were like $600, but they were like the coolest bipods I've ever seen for hunting. Like the way everything about them, and there's no way for me to do it justice. You know, I didn't film a video. The guy basically said he didn't want marketing because it's like two people, him and his brother, and they like make them in their house.
So
and
he
they're
doesn't
like
want too many.
He already has back orders, but they're like they were seriously
competent.
They were amazing from a hunting standpoint because they were so versatile and they were really long, yet pretty stable. Yeah, it was. I did talk to. Oh goodness, what's the scope company? You guys have gotten some scopes from them. I never have. It's not Element. Tracked. Tracked was at. They weren't at SHOT Show.
No, they weren't at SHOT.
They were at Western Hunt Expo, and I did a video with them, so that'll be coming out.
Cool. Yeah, and
I've never actually.
Yeah, and the reason why they haven't been at SHOT Show is because they only deal direct to consumer, and well, SHOT Show is an industry event, so that's what we have.
Well, sorry. Talk about bipods. I will say one came home with me from SHOT.
Which one is that?
That is the Accutech FD4. This is the one they talked about last year, where all you gotta do is just barely touch it down, and it goes right down to 90.
I wouldn't say that's barely.
Well, I mean, I gotta oil it up. But yeah, that came home from SHOT Show. That actually was on my rifle for my divisional win this weekend.
So I know a bunch. Go ahead. So I know a bunch of people have the FAB Spike bipod. They have spike feet for the Spike bipod now, or are gonna have very shortly.
Finally.
Right?
Okay, go ahead, Steven. You started saying Zeiss.
No, you know how my memory is. Zeiss came out with, I believe, a new variation of the LRP. Was it the 5 or something like that? Where it's specifically designed for hunters, so it's going to have a capped windage and it's going to be a little bit lighter than their previous versions.
Okay.
It looked like quite possibly, like from a top tier or near top tier perspective, for a hunter, it would probably be up there in like the top 3 scopes I've ever seen, or 4 scopes I've ever seen. Also, Leica had some really good range finding binos, but I can't remember if those were already out or not. But I looked through those and they were pretty impressive.
Nice.
They actually admitted, they actually said that the SIG, I think kilos or something, or the SIG, the top end SIG rangefinder is better in really heavy fog. The guy who was talking to me, he said everything else about ours is better, and I believed him. Like, he was very knowledgeable and like very detailed, and you know, very good stuff, right? They have some of the best binos in the world, that, you know, but he was like, the one SIG he said actually is better in really heavy fog for hunting and stuff.
I've heard that. That, I mean, so image quality wise, it's like but the laser, the emitter on there is actually quite a bit better. So.
Okay, best scope hands down I saw a shot was the new Element. I fell in love with that thing. I don't care.
And disclosure, go ahead.
No, I don't have one. So, and I've been hearing. I don't know if I will get one, but you know, I don't care. I really like that scope.
Wait, did you say that you were getting?
I was supposed to. I don't know what's going on with it yet.
So I am getting 2 Element scopes. I guess they were sent to me, but they're not the Theos, or the new Hi-Luxes.
I was looking at that and putting my request in for the LR one.
Yeah. I'll have a video on the Element stuff. So I would say, so the Theos is okay. The one that was really impressive is kind of, once again, from the tech perspective, the Hyper 7. Okay. So it's a combination of, you have a 7 power fixed power scope and a separate laser rangefinder module. You connect the two. You press a button, it live scans and it ranges the target, sends it to the scope, and the reticle inside moves itself. Super, super cool. Super, super cool. Hey, look, it's Jim from Backfire.
Hey,
hello,
Jim.
sir.
Hello.
So it's absolutely pleasure meeting you at SHOT. If you want to hop on, the link is in our Discord server. I will say, so one of the moments at SHOT Show that made me feel a little bit bad, and Steven, you were there as well.
He probably doesn't remember.
When we were waiting for dinner, and it was me, you, and Jim, and we're having a conversation, and the guy from Griffin Armament just runs up and comes up offering free suppressors to Jim from Backfire, and not even, excuse me, like me and Steven were not even there.
It happens.
It happens.
It's what it is.
You're not internet famous enough.
Although apparently they did talk to somebody in our group and they wanted to meet us or something. But I will say though, one of the coolest moments. So here I am of SHOT Show. Here I am at Hollow Sun. I'm waiting for Eric, my videographer that was with me, to come to our appointment. And like, he comes in late. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, "Yep, you're getting ready." He's like, "Hey, by the way, did you stop by Christensen?" I'm like, "No." Actually, I was like, "Yeah, I was actually just there." He's like, "Really?" It was like, they were just looking for you, and like, they saw the SlavGuns, and like they were wondering like if I was gonna stop by or not. I'm like, "No, you're bullshitting me, right?" He's like, no, like they really were. I'm like, seriously? He's like, yeah. So like then like afterwards we do the Hollow Sun videos. We go to Christensen's like, hey, there you are. I'm like, okay. It's like I don't know anybody at Christensen, but apparently like they're looking
Sure.
for me.
They're fans.
They're fans, and actually, so what it was is they're fans of the video I did from Palmetto State Armory event a year ago. It was just like a quick booth tour on the modern hunting rifle, and I guess they're watching it even like it wasn't like that popular a video. So it was pretty cool. It was
They've
pretty
they've
interesting.
suffered a lot of bad press lately, thanks to me. No, no, they've suffered some bad press, and I think they're trying to beef up their social media presence and get some good press out there a little bit. But they're nice people. I don't.
Yeah.
I loved talking to them in last year. Like I really did. Like I don't have anything against them per se. I just have a bad taste in my mouth because the rifle I bought having significant issues in my opinion, and so that's all I gotta say about that.
The place where I can roast them bad is, so I'm a boxing fan. I'm not sure if any of you guys are. So with Christensen, it's basically, so like you have like companies that, I mean, especially after Obama years, you had a whole bunch of venture capital and like smart money come into the industry in order to buy up, and basically they approach firearms as every other widget, and they basically start, I mean, so they're based out of Texas, and they sponsored, so here I am, I'm watching a boxing fight, Errol Spence versus somebody else, and I'm like noticing like, wait, why does it say Christensen Arms on the back of his shorts? Like, I'm like, is it really Christensen? And then I look it up, like, yeah, they actually sponsored Christensen. I'm sorry, Christensen actually sponsored a boxer. Now, no problem there, and you had other ammo, so like Tula Ammo, but the American importer Tula Ammo, they sponsored other boxers, so they've been consistently sponsoring Sergey Kovalev until he almost kind of like basically retired. But they sponsored Errol Spence. And the question is, so usually like when you sponsor somebody and you're paying for them, you'd probably hope that they're, much like you're sponsoring a shooter, they represent the brand. And my question is, why would you sponsor a boxer who is well known to be a belligerent drunk, and almost like a month after he was sponsored in that fight, he goes out drinking and wrecks his Porsche or Ferrari or Lamborghini and almost kills himself. And it wasn't even the first time. So at SHOT Show last year, I kind of bring it up, and we're like, hey, why don't you guys sponsor Errol Spence? And we're like, yeah, don't bring it up. He's like, the owner apparently was a big fan of him, and
Yeah, that's usually what happens, right?
and it's like, come on, guys.
Well, they should have sponsored the best boxer that's ever lived, Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, you know.
All right, and on that note, Tyson Fury has faced the weakest competition out of all of them, and Deontay Wilder, Beyonce, is
Beyonce.
not a boxer. We'll see how he does against Usyk or somebody with a live pulse.
Usyk will just be laying there on the canvas wishing he'd stayed in Ukraine.
Yeah. Well, Usyk can't go to Ukraine, but I mean, we're getting into politics already there. He actually had he's not really Ukrainian. I mean, like, he's fake Ukrainian.
Oh boy.
But he got actually death threats. So,
Steven, you started this shit.
I don't even know enough to talk about it other than what I already said. I do like watching Tyson Fury. I've watched some
Tyson
of his
Fury is a
boxing.
good boxer. He's a
He's a
good
goofball, and he's a good
He's a
boxer.
cokehead. He's a cokehead.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about the politics in which Max is getting
All
into already.
So on that lovely note, it's almost 11:30, and we've been on for a couple of hours. Last impressive product that you guys found from SHOT Show and where people can find your channel.
Oh wait, I gotta pull this. I gotta pull the actual item. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay,
Go ahead.
you do
We
that.
should do least impressive or like worst product. We're
Okay,
too
let's do that.
We're way
Least
too nice.
Least impressive product that you saw at SHOT Show 2023.
Oh crud! Now I don't know. I better look one up.
Ooh, I know what the least impressive product of SHOT Show 2023 is. Well, not least impressive product. I would say least impressive booth that I went to.
Oh, okay. I'm least impressive booth. Impressive product, but not impressive booth. The 3-ounce micro pistol, 22 pistol. I don't know if did you guys see it? It's a 10-round semi-automatic 22 concealed folding pistol. That was down. It was downstairs, of course.
The,
So
the
it's
card, the life card or something?
no, but it's the size of a life card, but it holds 10 rounds. It's not like a single shot.
Okay.
And it looks. I mean, it looks a little flimsy. I didn't get a chance to shoot it. Obviously, I was downstairs at the Venetian.
Is it called the ounce pistol?
Yes, that's it. The ounce. And the
It
booth,
must have been on the first floor in some.
and I would have walked by there, except that thankfully, Scooty or Stick, the guys that I brought with me to help me, they were my eyes and ears looking around, and they said, "Hey, you got to come check this out." And it was like, and then he pulled it out and it was showing the video, and he was showing, of course, the demi rounds in it, and it looks I mean, supposedly he's tested it a lot. It just, it doesn't quite look like something that would have a lot of durability, but I thought it was still pretty nifty, this little folding thing. But of course, it being a small engineer created himself, his booth was just a table and a sign that was, the generic printed sign behind him. So definitely it did not have any sort of booth design or decoration. Yeah, that was the least impressive booth. But there was a couple of booths like that. People just really didn't know anything about presentation.
You guys go. I'm trying to find a picture of this thing.
Look for the ounce. Let me see if I can ounce.
It's
an
ounceoz.com is the
Yeah.
ounce pistol. Yeah.
I can't think of the bad things I saw now, but I really can't. But I think one of the most impressive scopes I saw was a Calls, but Rudolph's booth was pretty dismal and depressing, and I'm pretty unimpressed with them.
Rudolph is still it's still there, huh?
Bear, I don't know how. There's worse than them. There's actually is far worse than them at SHOT Show. I can't remember the names of some of these scope companies, but there's some random scope companies that are just like you pick it up and it's like a piece of plastic that's for a Nerf gun, but I can't remember the names of some of them.
All right, so let me see how I can add medium.
I think you just hit share and.
Did you guys check out any of the booths that were like next to the registration area for the in the hallways in front of the media?
A couple of them. There was a couple of interesting things. Like one of them had a rapid deployed tourniquet.
Yeah. I that's one of the surprising things I thought was, oh, this is pretty well built.
Yeah.
Okay,
For self-deploy tourniquet.
got it. All right. So okay, yes, I understand. Opera tab. Okay, so a product that I really dig is this guy. Can you guys actually see this or no?
Let's see it.
Yes.
Okay. So my you're currently sharing your screen, blah, blah, blah. All right.
Oh yeah.
So look, Jim is on here as well. I'm going to bring you in a second. So they so what this is basically a competitor that was developed by FX, actually by one of the owners of FX or Element or something along those lines. And it's basically a Labrator competitor. Really, really cool product. One of the things I do like about it is it fixes a lot of the biggest quirk with the lab radar is anytime you're shooting, you got to select what velocity range. You don't need to do it with this thing. It tracks the bullet the entire time, once again, out past 100 yards, and it displays all of that velocity right on the main display or right in the app without having to actually download a bunch of that stuff. Really, really cool product. Hopefully it's going to be out very, very, very soon. Now, what I will say is the most depressive booth along the same line is okay. Let me do this again. So I gotta change the tab. Is this? I almost had a shit fit.
It showed a picture of you when you said the worst.
That's what I thought too.
Well, it was just his background. It was the background. I just went to the background, so it looked like
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. So that, you guys can see the picture of the booth?
Yep.
So that was the most depressive, the most horrible experience I've ever had at SHOT Show. The most disappointing experience I've had at SHOT Show in the last 10 years I've been going to SHOT Show.
Which booth
So-
is that?
That is the Bullet Seeker booth. So every year when you go to SHOT Show, in the calendar, they actually, in the planner, you have the new products. So this was in one of the new products. I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool. Essentially, it's a Doppler radar, basically a chronograph that you attach. So imagine if a lab radar was a magnetospeed and attached to your gun. That's what this thing is.
I
So-
went by it. Mhm.
I go to that booth, and I'm like, wait, is this actually a booth or what? Because there's just one lady sitting behind that one table with nothing else there. I'm like, oh, I guess these guys never showed up or
That's
something
what I
along
would
those.
have thought too.
And I'm like, hi, is this Bullet Seeker? She's like, yeah, this is Bullet Seeker. I'm like, oh, great, okay. When I introduced myself, my name is so-and-so. I found this on your product planner, tried reaching out to you guys. I wanted, here I am. So it's me. It was me, Ivan, and Glenn. So the three of us, we're ready to film a video. We're really interested about this. I'm familiar with the lab radar. We looked at some of the other competing products, and we were definitely interested in it. She's like, oh, okay. Well, it's like I was planning on leaving right now. I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, yeah, it's like, well, it's like, it'd be kind of cool, but it's like, maybe we kind of got to go. I'm like, okay, well, do you at least have it here so I can take a quick look at it? She's like, oh, she didn't even have it on display. It was in a little pouch. Not even there. So it's like, here it is. It's a company that's based out of, we're based out of Europe. Asking oh, so are you planning on selling in the United States? Yes. How much is it going to be priced? She's like, well, €1,000. So in the United States, we're still going to be pricing it in euros. Oh, you're going to have U.S. distribution? No, we're going to be shipping it from Europe. I'm like, all right. I'm like, do you plan on actually selling it in the United States? But it's like, so here's somebody who pays $6,000 for a booth. Somebody that pays 6 G's for a booth. Jim, I'm going to put you for a second. Yeah, Jim, you had a bunch of background noise. So here's somebody who pays $6,000 for a booth to be at SHOT Show. They don't even send the product people. They send somebody from accounting or whatnot. And they had absolutely zero interest in it. So it's like, come on. Interesting product. Absolutely had no clue about the competition. And yeah, wasted opportunity. So
Yeah.
that
They may have
was...
had it in the new product showcase. I don't know. I kind of remember seeing something like that, but I could be wrong.
All right. Maybe. It was weird. It was really, really, really weird. And it's like, come on. It's like, but like I said, I was really, really peeved. All right. So on that note, we do have a new guest. Jim, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure.
Hey, good to talk with you guys. Good to meet a few of you. I know some of you.
So I'll ask the same thing that we asked everybody else. So this was actually your first SHOT Show, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Second.
Second. What was your experience last year to this year, just kind of like getting into the groove of things?
I mean, it's busy. I was prepared this year with two things that I wasn't last year: vitamins and running shoes. Like that's the equipment. That's all you need. You're set. Anyway, but I thought it was a fun show. There was a lot. There were far fewer booths that were empty this year.
Yeah.
I was surprised there were not more announcements. I thought, with the last couple of years, everything kind of being crazy supply chain, I expected maybe even more in terms of innovative things. There were tons of new guns and things, but I don't know that I saw a ton of like really unique products. I don't know. Maybe that's just a depressing look at it. I guess I thought there might be even more though. But I would say that in terms of the booth that I was least impressed with, probably some of the big guys like Springfield. Like, hello, where is the long action waypoint? Like, right? Like, I walked into the booth with my wife, and I asked one of the guys in a suit and tie. I always look for the guy in the suit and tie because they're probably the fancy, executive or whatever, and they usually are a little bit more free with information. And so I said, hey, 2020 Waypoint's been out for a while. People are interested in it, but like, where's the long action? And the guy says, oh, we're not really working on it right now. And he just turns away from me. Like, he stayed standing there, but he like turned his back away from me, and there wasn't anybody else he was talking to. And I looked at my wife and we're like, I guess he's done. And so I went over to somebody. It was weird.
And
So
you
I
had your
go
camera
over to a
with you?
different person. I'm like, okay, maybe this person's like socially not functioning today. I get it. Happens to me too. So I go over to a different guy and I said, hey, do you have a media person here? I thought maybe that'll be better. And they said, gone to lunch. And I said, well, maybe I was just my viewers are always asking about like a long action 2020 Waypoint. If you ever do 7PRC or something, could we record a little video with you? Just kind of talking about that. And he said, no. And that was it. They were just broken. They couldn't speak anymore. And like it was
Which day was
so
this?
awkward. Both of them had the same move where they just stop speaking to you and turn away. It was weird. And my wife said, honey, you never talk about one of their guns on your channel ever again. Those were the rudest people I have ever met.
Was this on a Tuesday or was this on like Friday or Thursday?
It's probably Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday. Yep.
Oh, that no excuse then, because I totally understand. Like like Thursday or Friday, you're so burnt out that you don't feel like talking. But on the first day,
It kind of reminds me of when I met Mr. Weatherby. It's pretty similar.
So on Springfield, was any of them? So Mike Humphreys is director of marketing. So we've done videos with him in prior SHOT Shows, and like he was definitely very much on point. But it's shocking to hear that, because it's like Springfield is one of those companies that like brand whores themselves out to content creators or influencers. So number one, I'm surprised that they didn't have somebody there that can actually speak, or number two, they didn't know who you were already ahead of time.
There's no brand whoring with Springfield. I've contacted them multiple times, and they just will not even acknowledge me, which is so bizarre, because like I've talked about the 2020 Waypoint like a million times, how cool it is, but they just hate me. I do not understand it.
You're a YouTuber.
I guess.
You're not.
You're a YouTuber.
You're a YouTuber.
It's like there's levels to this, and Jim. All right, so there's comments in there. So Jim didn't put what his channel is, but Jim is the founder of Backfire TV. It's just like there's levels. There's Jim, and then there's us.
And then
Where
there's
the
levels on
doors-
top.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some levels on top. But no, so it's quite shocking. But no, so like, and the thing with so it's interesting that you've reached out to them and you didn't get a response, because I've been reaching out to them, even I have done videos with them, and it's like it seems like those emails just kind of like never get through. Although I will say that there are companies out there where you literally have just like one person who's authorized to discuss things. And like I said, I've gone to booths and like, hey, like you talk to people who are like product engineers and stuff, like, hey, can we do a quick video? It's like, oh, I'm not authorized to be on camera. I'm like, okay, but I'm like you're actually fairly eloquent. He's like, no, it's like straight from the top. Like there's only one person here who could be on camera. And it's just weird, but yeah, but so like a lot of those people, like they'll go show to show, and it's like they almost like never have a chance to get to their email unless you have a personal cell phone number or something along those lines. So it's interesting.
I made Sarah at Mossberg almost puke. She couldn't make it through video with me, and I had to do it by myself. I'm nicest girl ever. Like we've been emailing for years about business. She's super nice.
She's too nervous. On
No,
camera?
no hate on her, like for real. But she'd never done a video ever, and she's been doing this for like 12 years or something supposedly. And I coaxed her, and everybody was coaxing her too. And we started teasing her, and we teased her to the point where she agreed to like kind of do it, and she literally like bailed out the side of the frame of the camera and was like turning white and like almost puking, and it was interesting. So
Right.
nice person, but it's crazy that like people in those positions sometimes have like no clue as far as how to do that. You'd think
So-
they would.
Mossberg loves to play jokes. There's some pretty funny characters there at Mossberg. One of their former reps went over to Beretta, and I was talking to the Mossberg guys, like, go to the Beretta booth, ask for this guy by name, and tell him you want to be in a video, because he just started there like today, so he's gonna crap his pants. I did find the guy, and I was there with Ivan, and we had the camera and everything. He's like, "Oh, you want to get a video?" He's like,
So
I'm
Jim,
like, it's okay.
so here's a suggestion of how you get in touch with Springfield, or have Springfield get in touch with you. Get a Hellcat, get it Cerakoted to say Hello Kitty, and review it.
That'd work. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw it, Shot Show, the guys that had the Cerakote that changes color when it gets hot. Did you guys see that?
No.
Well, not
Oh.
Cerakote brand, but it was, so you can get whatever your suppressor. They showed it to me in the hall. I was walking down the hall, and these guys were like running down the hall. They're like, "Stop!" It was like sounding like somebody's gonna hold me up. They like we're yelling from down the hall. They come over and they're like, "Just turn on your camera. I promise it's gonna be good." I'm like, "Okay." And they're like, "We don't have any money for a booth, but I promise you're gonna like this." And so he pulls out of his backpack. He pulls out a suppressor. It's a regular looking, I can't even remember what, Dead Air Nomad, whatever, some suppressor. I'm like, okay. And then he pulls out a torch, like a flame fire torch. And I'm like, what is gonna happen here? He turns on the torch on his suppressor, like lighting fire on his suppressor, and boom, it turns into an American flag, red, white, and blue.
Oh,
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It looked
Did
like
you
a
have this on camera?
completely
You have this on
normal
film?
black suppressor, and as soon as it gets hot, it's like red, white, and blue. The whole suppressor. It was the coolest thing.
So was your
Anyway,
camera
so-
actually running?
It was running. I got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. good.
So somebody just commented about the Hello Kitty. Anyway, that would be pretty sweet, is to get the slide of a Hellcat, and then as soon as you start shooting, it's like pink Hello Kitty. They were asking me, because they asked me to send a suppressor in to get it coded so I could show it in a video, and I was like, I was racking my brain. I was like, there's got to be something funny, like you can't just put like an American flag underneath it. You got to have something funny, but I couldn't decide. Anyway, Hello Kitty.
That is cool.
Probably going to get me sued, but it'd be funny.
Send him a Hellcat slide and do that.
Right.
It's not going to be
Oh,
a Hello
goodbye,
Kitty.
Kitty.
It's going to be a Hell
Yeah.
Kitty, right?
Mhm.
That's
Well,
right.
so I'm afraid to go to the Springfield booth, because it's like just embedded in my head the Hello Kitty, and I can blame that onto the SIG rep that I was talking to a couple of years ago. He's like, "Oh, so like yeah, we would love to get you a 365 so you can compare it to the Hello Kitty." I'm like, "The Hello Kitty, what?" He's like, "Yeah, the Hellcat, Hello Kitty." I'm like, "Crap!" And ever since then, like I mean, I've been in meetings with Ruger and a couple others, and I've called the Springfield Hello Kitty. I'm like, and it's like, it's stuck, but I am interested in the 2020. Actually, people been asking me to take a look at the 2020. I honestly, I have shot it. I don't own it, but it really feels like it's probably one of the nicest factory guns you can get at that $1,500 to $2,000 price point.
Yeah, when it was released, I was really excited about it. I bought mine with a carbon barrel. It was $1,900.
Mhm.
Now it's more like $2,400.
Okay.
I just
for
bought
that.
one.
How much did you pay?
Well, I got the 20-inch 308. I think it was still right around 2. I think.
With the carbon
But-
barrel?
Yeah, it's got a 20-inch carbon. I can look it up, but I'll have to text you or something later on.
Yes. Yeah.
I was waiting to hear that Steven was gonna say, "Yeah, Springfield sent me a couple of 2020s."
I wish. No, I just
They
went into a
spoke
local
to you.
store
That'd
that-
be something.
No, nobody speaks to me. They all hate me.
But
Except
that
for Legacy Sports doesn't even talk to me anymore.
well,
I'm just
like I said,
teasing.
that is definitely. I don't know how you have people like that. He's like, nope, just go walk away. That's crazy. That's
Weather
a
bees
crazy.
can
And
be that
the
way.
other thing is, I'm sure you guys have seen the same thing. How many booths pay obscene amounts of money for the booth, for the design, to bring 20 employees there for a week to sit in the booth? And then you come in and you're like, well, my video is going to go out to more people than you'll talk to for this whole show.
And a consumer.
You'll say, can we record a clip? And everybody on the booth will say, whoa, yeah, I don't know about being on camera. And it's like, then why did you come? What are you here for if you didn't want attention?
So
Because
a lot of
they-
those companies don't bring like the actual marketing people that are really doing that. Some of these guys are techs in the back or whatever. They're just there to answer questions and like do some sales, right?
Yeah.
To some vendors.
So that's basically the one thing. A lot of the employees that are brought in. So actually, it's pretty interesting. I'll share the article that was interview with Chris Dolnak, who's the president of NSSF, but as it comes to the shot, he's the executive VP of NSSF, and he handles a lot of the SHOT Show stuff. And they're talking about, so like, even though like the show was bigger this year, the companies on average brought 40% less employees than they did in prior years. So booth space went up on average, but the number of employees went down. But the key with that is a lot of the bigger companies, the people that they bring in are not actual employees of the company, but they're marketing companies or like wholesale groups where you can get the people kind of like as brand ambassadors for the day, and their entire jobs is to talk to the FFL owners or like the other reps, not necessarily media, and they're just not authorized to talk to media.
Or knowledgeable.
Yeah,
at
there
all.
were a couple that pretty obviously hired showgirls and put them in a company logoed polo. Because I went like asked a couple of gun questions, they're like, I don't know, no idea.
Two companies really did piss me off. Steiner would not do a video with me. Like 10 guys walked around in circles. It's like I was chasing him for an hour, and it pissed me off because I just bought one of their scopes last year. And then Hawk Optics at Western Hunt. At
Hawk?
So Hawk,
Really?
Hawk, who I've done videos with, who I've done
With that chick.
They've sent me Paige sent me product, right?
Page, yeah, yep.
She left, and I got there like a half hour. She left, but they had like 10 people there. I spent an hour sitting in their booths waiting for the guy to show up, and then he showed up and was like, "No, I don't want to do it." And I literally was, I was furious. So Hawk Optics and Steiner definitely rubbed me the wrong way.
That's
So-
dead too.
So the funny part about Steiner, I kind of brought that up. So I went to visit Burris on the very last day of the show. I had an appointment with them. Have a really good relationship with the people at Burris, and so Burris and Steiner are part of like they're owned by the Beretta Group. So it's the same people, and their booths are right next to each other. And I'm like, hey Jordan, like what's going on like with Steiner people. I've had a couple of friends go there and like they just got the cold shoulder. He's like, oh Max, don't feel bad about that. Our own employees like will sometimes have to go to the other side of the booth to grab something there, and they won't even talk to us.
Yeah, I did a video with Burris, and then I went there, and I went there twice,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't
So,
do a video. It was
yeah.
irritating.
So I'm basically, and like even like product wise, so even though Burris distributes the Steiner products that get sent in, he's like they'll just send stuff out, and then we learn that they're sending something new when we get an invoice that like they shipped something to us. But he's like, otherwise there's like same parent company, no communication in between unless they absolutely need something. So it was weird. Well, it's
What did you guys think of that new Burris scope, by the way?
So we discussed it. Is he gonna?
The Veracity PH, yeah, it's where
You already got one. Nice.
Oh, look at this guy.
Of course he did.
Yeah, of course he did.
It's
we're
an
all impressed by
interesting
it.
scope for sure. I'm curious to see how well implemented it is, especially the ballistic solver.
Yeah.
Because man, that would change hunting. Like I frequently feel like a garage sale when like you spot the deer and now it's like, quick, figure out what the holdover is, quick, get a range, quick, it's just like so much stuff going on to get ready to take a shot. If all I have to do is get my range and spin to that number.
Yep.
Is it
That's
illegal to
pretty
use
cool.
the Eliminator where in Utah?
Utah, I believe it is. Oh no, I'm sorry. Idaho, where I'm from, it is. Utah is pretty open on everything.
I have one. It's legal in Wyoming, and I like it, but it's massive and heavy. But like, there's a lot of companies though that have similar. Like Steiner has, I believe, a scope that does some. Swirl has a laser range finding scope. Like a lot of companies, but yeah, there's so that you can use it in those states where you otherwise wouldn't be able to use. You can't use a scope with a laser rangefinder built into it. That's what makes that one set apart. But of course, the SIG can do that, right? The system they had, the BDX system, was somewhat similar, but not as good.
SIG, no, it's different. So the SIG BDX system, and I kind of talked to Jordan and Sky at Burris about this. So right now with the Burris, as we discussed, so we did actually discuss that one a bit earlier before he popped on. So you basically you range it and then you dial in the elevation. Versus the SIG BDX, it's literal. Do I have it here behind me? It's on the guns. So
does that just light up the holdover?
So basically, the SIG BDX is you use the rangefinder, you range it, and then you look straight into the scope, and in the scope, it illuminates the holdover dot for you.
Right.
That's
so it's like the Eliminator, but without the built-in laser rangefinder.
Correct.
That's kind of what the Eliminator is.
Correct. But the difference is, so because everything is separate, so it works on a Kestrel Applied Ballistics Elite. So built in by itself is the SIG BDX system. You range it, sends it to the scope, is out to 800 yards. However, if you have a Kestrel, now you can do the shooting solution out to 4,000. I believe the Eliminator was limited to something.
It was, well, mine isn't the newest gen. The newest gen is reflective out to, I think, 1,600 maybe.
Okay.
And my gen was like to 12, I want to say, but it depended on your cartridge a little bit as well. Like if the bullet drop was too great, you couldn't have it compensate. But
so like I said, the main key with the BDX system is that it plays within an ecosystem. So for example, like if you have a Kestrel or if you have a Garmin, it all works together. And then basically you can get a different SIG scope, you can get SIG binos and stuff like that. So I talked to Burris, and that was kind of like the next logical question is, well, instead of you dialing in, can you use a rangefinder and have it work? And basically the answer was there's nothing stopping it with the exception of them communicating with other companies. So for example, like if SIG, if Loophole or somebody else would want them to be on the ecosystem and actually share it.
I feel like the M7XI IFS from Steiner has this, but it would make sense because but it's $7,000.
Yeah, so Steiner had one. There's another European company. So that design was actually fairly old. And basically, once again, fairly stupid expensive. The SIG BDX and the Eliminator, the first ones that were kind of like, I would say, approachable price points that weren't targeted towards, well, they were targeted towards hunters rather than military and law enforcement platform. So in Europe, there's a company, it's called Vampire, and I think theirs was about 4,000. That was the solution. And basically same thing. You had a rangefinder, it's slapped on side of the scope, it ranges it, and it adjusts everything inside the scope for you. You just hold over and pull the trigger. And actually, so in Russia, there's a company called Dedal. They have a very similar one where you can just dial in the elevation. But that basically, I haven't played with that one. There is a U.S. importer out of Texas. And actually, Ilya played with that scope, and he was like, yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. So the tech is really kind of coming in. So I thought the Veracity. And Jim, did you go to Element and look at the Hyper 7? That was
I did.
So it's kind of like in that point.
Yeah, I like the Hyper 7 was cool. I like that you could make your own reticle and then upload it to the scope. That is cool.
I
you know what I would do?
I didn't realize that.
I would like draw a picture of myself like pointing. That'd be my reticle. That'd be so funny, man. Just like destroy, you know? It'd be fun.
That would be cool. I did not even know it can do that. That is awesome.
I could just say something right now that would totally get the stream canceled, but yeah.
Say or draw something.
It's one of those internet memes of, you know, totally not safe for work stuff.
Okay.
Okay, well, so on that point, here we go. Optics question. I have a Waypoint 2026.5 PRC, but I need a scope. I don't know what I need. Price point and how are you going to use it for hunting application, for target shooting, long range shooting? We can go from there. All right. So Jim, what else did you see that was interesting?
I really like the Stag Arms hunting rifle. They had a really interesting one there that's supposed to come out this summer, around $1,400, and it looked pretty promising. I really, with hunting rifles, I'm looking at the stock. I mean, barreled actions, most of them are Remington 700 or some close variant of that. The barrels, there aren't that many barrel makers, and so they're all just sourcing them from one or the other. And so barreled action, whatever. So I'm really walking around looking at stocks and see who has a cool stock for a gun. And I really like the stock they're putting. It's one of very few that they're actually making the stock and not just sourcing from another company doing the same stuff. The one they had there was 3D printed, which was pretty sweet. But they also had an injection one that they were doing. So it's kind of a fiberglass polymer composite, but it felt like solid. It was not your Tupperware stock, and had much more modern design to it. It looked promising to me. I think they're targeting like $1,500.
It reminds me of the Lupo a little bit.
The Benelli Lupo?
But better, because I have a Lupo.
But better,
I'm totally unimpressed with the parts of that.
The Lupo,
I feel like
they needed to consult with a couple like American hunters before making a hunting rifle, I think.
That forward sling attachment is like Remington 783 level quality on a $1,500 gun. It's embarrassing. They should be embarrassed of that.
See, I like the bolt setup on the loophole.
That is good. There's good things, but they did some things really good, but it's like they totally dropped the ball on other things, I feel like. And
it's European companies, and they know better than Americans about the American market. Hence CZ and Blazer, and it's like, no, you shall have this.
I can spend $2,500, as he's saying, for
if
hunting.
It's a straight pull, I will agree with you. If it's a traditional bolt action, I disagree with you.
I will say so. Victrix was there, so Zero U.S. Optics, Zero Delta. They actually started importing Victrix rifles out of Italy. They had the 50 BMG there, which is really really nice. Stupid expensive, but that was actually pretty interesting. That was super smooth rifle, super smooth.
So he's not saying what he's going to use this for, or is he?
Okay, so new
he's-
hunter, but prefer to shoot in 300 to 600 yard range.
Where's he
so
say that? I'm
he
sorry.
he just posted this.
Okay.
All right, so $2,500 price point. NX8 4 to 32 by 50. I'm not familiar with the Night Force scopes. I would say
It's
25.
It's about a $2,200 scope. We sell those where I work.
I would basically say, I mean, anybody says $2,500, I just say Leupold Mark V. I mean that
Pretty much.
it's really good tracking. But here's the thing: if you're only shooting 600 yards, you don't need to spend that much money on a scope.
3 to 18 by 50. 3 to 18 by 50 element.
I would say probably the only thing that's there, the qualifier would be is if you're allergic to Chinesium or not. If you're not allergic to Chinesium, there's a lot of really good scopes that are now made in China for that price point. But if, and you can, I would probably say almost anything in the, I mean, a $500 Vortex Venom would be decent enough. I actually
At 600 yards, yeah.
that Hi-Lux.
I've gotten a Venom out to 1,200 yards.
Yeah. Element the element optics are going to be fine. I mean, you don't need to spend that much.
But if you're worried about weight, the Mark V hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he's like, it's a little bit like how much hunting versus how much range time, and then that range isn't very far, 600 yards being his max. I mean, if he was going to use it more for hunting,
And what
he could
kind of
go
hunting?
Vortex. He could do
Is it a
Vortex
stand
Razor
or-
LHT.
Yeah. Yes.
He could do Leica M plus. I'm probably saying that wrong. That's a
Leica.
2.5 to 15. Zeiss LRP to 3.6 to 18. Those are higher end though. So like Steiner, those are all overkill for what he really needs. He could go Leopold VX3 or VX5 HD. The 5 HD would
Leupold.
be perfect almost.
Leupold.
So
Yeah, I love the Mark V HD from Leupold. I like that it's a first focal plane. For me, I just wouldn't buy a second focal plane anymore, except for if you're the tree stand ground blind hunter and you just need to see a dang reticle and there will be no holdovers.
Yeah.
Sure, makes sense. But where most people, I feel like these days, want to take a gun hunting but have it be versatile and go out to the range as well, I feel like it should be a first focal plane for sure. And so the VX5, VX3 kind of cuts them out for me. I like the Mark V HD. The thing that I hate on the Mark V HD is that it's a 35 millimeter tube. Who makes a 35 millimeter tube? And so you got to get like very unique rings to get it on.
Well, it
you're
could
never
be a
going to get
Valdata.
direct mount.
That's a 40 millimeter tube.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
March.
But like, can we not squish it by 1 millimeter to 34, right? To meet the standard.
So they couldn't, because in order to get that much internal elevation adjustment and that turret system, it needed to be that high.
Yeah, they couldn't, because if they did, you wouldn't buy the Leupold rings.
That's true too. No, I think somebody else makes 35. American Rifle Company. There are a couple other companies that do those.
No, you're right. I'm being pessimistic.
But no,
but
let's just say, if they wanted to, they probably could have done something in, like, you know what? Most companies that are not Leupold or Night Force, they would basically say, hey, you know what? Let's cut back on some of these features and make sure that it's going to fit a 34 millimeter tube, so people would actually buy it. But other companies like March or Leupold or Night Force, they're like, nah, screw it. We're going to do our own thing, and we're going to do it. So, no, but I think there's a couple other scopes that they weren't the first to do 35. I think there's a couple others that were doing 35s.
Swarovski did a 35 when the Mark V
Okay.
first came out.
Yeah.
do you Jim, what are your thoughts on the LHT? That 4.2 or 5 to 22, the 4.5 to 22, the Vortex.
Yeah, it's awesome. I will say, man, is this a good idea to be throwing money at China's ability to manufacture weapons accessories? Is that a good idea? It gives me pause.
We're on a live stream, I can't
I
say
get
it.
that
what
there are
company
people
would
all
you-
over the world
So-
that I want to have a business. I totally get it, but
If we
like,
don't,
we
we're
are
going to get a lot more
investing-
weather balloons.
Yeah,
So what
when
company?
Or at least sourced from the good China.
So on that note, though, so I will say there's a difference. So I didn't realize this. So Hi-Lux, from our optics daddy, Ilya, not Alex, Affordable Optics. Hi-Lux actually, so some of the technology found in Kalis scopes
Mhm.
are licensed from Hi-Lux, a Chinese brand.
Yeah, I get the argument isn't they can make good stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
they're making some good scopes. I just and to be fair, I got plenty of Chinese scopes, so I'm
Yeah.
not throwing stones. And I recognize there are tons of small business owners in China who should have businesses, and that's
Yeah.
great. And there's one argument that improving the small businesses in China is what will strengthen it by having ties between us. And I get that too, but it definitely gives me pause that the gun community is so America, and then we're like, yeah, but if they got a $50 cheaper scope, I'm pretty sure we should invest in their ability to create weapons and accessories. It just gives me pause. And I saw this Burris was from Philippines, and I'm like, I feel a little bit better about that. I feel a lot better
Yay,
about a scope coming from
Philippines.
Japan.
So he's asking.
Except the glass comes from China anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it all does, and they're going to overtake the
So,
world. But seriously, we should maybe be working toward more American-made scopes.
Funny story in the Philippines part. One of the reasons why there's more scopes coming out of the Philippines now is because the cost to produce them in China is too high. It's actually produced back in the Philippines now, and companies are moving there. It's just so it's really, really weird. Okay.
So he's asking the 5 HD 5 to 25 by 56. I would caution at max range of 600 yards, the possibility of using it for hunting. I would say I would caution against being overpowered and the weight and size of that one, and go with the 3.6
the Mark 5
18.
Yeah, but
here's the thing: it's not just the size and weight. Like you don't
Yeah.
like if a new hunter tends to get adrenaline, they tend to whip the magnification ring, and then they can't make follow-up shots, or they can't find their target. And so it's a weight and size thing, but it's also like and I've done this. Like when I first started hunting, it's like I got 30 power, so what do? I get that adrenaline going. What am I going to do? I'm going to swing it up to 30. It's just like human nature. And then you miss, or you can't make a follow-up shot, or you can't find the target efficiently. And so I would say if you're going to go that route, I would get the 3.6 to 18 version of that, of the Mark 5.
Well, I think they also have the Mark III now as well, and I think they have also a lighter weight. I think it was like a 2 to something. They just released it, and I didn't stop by.
Well, they have
a 2 to 10.
I think I actually did a video on that. Now that one, yeah, they have a 2 to 10. Now to me, that would be the opposite. That'd be okay for an Eastern hunter, but not necessarily. It depends where you're hunting then.
Oh yeah, did you say where he's hunting?
The NX8, there is an NX8 that's lower power, but I forget which one it is. But I think those are kind of overkill, to be honest. I mean, go a little bit cheaper and buy more ammunition, or spend more on that, and then get more practice, because you don't really need it.
Well, Element just came out with the new Hi-Lux. That's the 2 to 20.
Yeah.
So, and it actually doesn't look like a bad scope. I mean, granted, it's second focal plane, not first focal plane.
I think, look, if you're a newer shooter, get a cheaper. If you're not opposed to Chinesium or Philippinesium, buy one of those and save the money for ammo and range time to get more proficient at shooting, and then you'll be able to figure out. Because I mean, usually it's like once you go above $1,000, it's diminishing returns, and it's a lot of personal preference in terms of what type of reticle choices you like, whether you want first or second focal plane, and really just kind of like go to the store, go to Cabela's, go pick up each of the individual scopes and kind of see what you like, and find some shooters in the area wherever you are, and just ask, hey, can I take a look back behind the scope, and what do you guys got on there?
I agree with that. There's a big difference between a $200 scope and a $500 scope. There's a difference between a $500 scope and a $700 scope. But I agree. There's something about that $1,000 price point that at that point it's like extra polished glass. I don't know what we're doing at this point.
A little
And even,
better
I would say
performance
even
in
thinking
DOS cuts, yeah.
thinking about it a little bit more, I'd probably say instead of 1,000, I would say 1,500, because at 1,500 you can get the Athlon Cronus, you can get the Track Torix, you can you can get the Ares ETR, you can get a lot of good Japanese made scopes. That at that point, once you go like one tier above that, I mean, it truly is less than 2 to 3% difference than anything else. And then and really honestly at that point it really could be, hey, this one has a couple of more mils of internal elevation adjustment, so I can dial in from a mile to a mile and 1.3 miles or something ridiculous like that. That would probably be a little bit of a difference. And honestly, so I said, I'm really interested in throwing that Hi-Lux PRS out for the price. It looks really, really good. It checks all the boxes, Japanese ED glass, and all of that. And then honestly, go subscribe to Dark Lord of Optics channel. I'm sure he will have a whole bunch of stuff there as well. So
hey, I got to check out you guys, but thanks for
same
letting me
Jim,
hop
thank
on
you,
for a minute.
thank you for popping on as well. And honestly, I'm going to wrap this one up now as before we hit the 3-hour mark, which is ridiculous. So very quickly, go around the clock. Where can people find your channel?
You can find me on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey under Northwest Guns. You can also find me on Instagram and on the Northwest Guns Facebook page.
Alrighty, Steven.
Yeah, Bullets for Bucks, the number 4, all one word, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, primarily YouTube, and then our website as well, bulletsforbucks.com. And there are articles now, actually new articles on the top 5 hunting scopes, rifles, and things like that, with more to come. So if you want to look there, you can as well.
Now, quick question: now, is that Bullets for Bucks -thebestgunchannel.com or?
No, that's just me
tagline.
acknowledging that I am the best, but we already knew that, so it's just bulletsforbucks.com.
All right, Jim. I'm sure most people here know you, but you're going incognito.
YouTube sucks. Follow me on Twitter at Backfire Jim.
There you go. And Mr. California.
Okay, so Moondog Industries is my primary pew pew channel. I've also that's on YouTube, also on Rumble. You can also find me on Twitter,
Pornhub,
and OnlyFans. No, but you can also find me on TikTok, talking about China, and you could also started. Did I mention about Moondog R&D? Yeah, so that's my non-pew pew channel. So you could also find that on YouTube.
Very cool. And obviously, thank you everybody for joining and continuing this conversation. I'm really glad I got real internet again. It doesn't seem like we had any downtime. And look, technology is cool. Like, we're on YouTube, Odyssey, Twitter, Facebook, and all that fun stuff. So in the near future, we're going to have much more SHOT Show coverage. I'm going to try to get it out 2 to 3 videos a day. And hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you guys for coming, and thank you for letting us do this thing. As always, thanks for watching. Keep on squatting. We'll see you next video linked up here.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.